Hello, True Health Seekers, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. You're going to love our guest today, Elissa Goodman, and everything she has to share about healing the body, preventing cancer, and reversing and healing autoimmune condition. We have such a great conversation, and she shares such amazing advice, so you're going to love it. As you're listening, if the thoughts come into your head like, I wish I could do what she's doing, I wish I could help people on that level, consider looking into the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. That's where I got my certification as a health coach. It's a wonderful program. It is designed to be done online and paced in a way that even busy working men and women are able to do it, are able to complete it. I interviewed the founder of that company, Joshua Rosenthal, who's also one of the instructors there at IIN, and he shares that he designed it so that busy stay-at-home moms, while having to manage the entire household and their kids, are also able to get this certification and then start their ability to work with clients from home, and they can write books, they can teach people how to cook, they can see clients in person. There's many opportunities. And now with the new legislature that's brought into place, health coaching in 2020 will be covered by insurance. So there's so many opportunities. This is the fastest growing field, the fastest growing career in the health field, in the health space. There's a huge demand for health coaches. And there's going to be an even bigger demand next year, starting very soon in a few months, when it goes into full effect, and that health coaches will be covered by medical insurance for those in the United States, which is so wonderful because health coaches make such a huge difference. As you'll hear when Elissa shares the kind of work that she does with her clients, she describes it perfectly, what it feels like to be a health coach. To use her words, she helps her clients tunes them back into themselves. Because deep inside, the client themselves, at the unconscious level or at the level of intuition, their body knows what it needs. And health coaches help to begin to listen to your own body's ability to heal itself, begin to listen again to your body, crying out the intuition of your body, telling you what you really need. Sometimes we have too much chaos going on and we can't tap into it, and health coaches help us get there. So as you're listening to this episode, as you're learning from Elissa and my conversation in this interview, and you're thinking, I'd love to do that as a career, call up IIN. Just Google IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Give them a call. I organized a discount for all my listeners because it made such a big difference in my life. I knew I'd be talking about it. I know my listeners would want to participate and become certified as health coaches. So I got a discount. It's $1,500 off. It's a huge discount. And more recently, they just launched a brand new payment plan that's a more affordable payment plan, a payment option. So if you think, I couldn't spend thousands of dollars, you don't have to. It's about as much as a credit card payment, and you can do it. And because after 6 months of the program, you're seeing clients. So you start to pay it off within 6 months, and then it's a year-long program. So some people even have it totally paid off before they even graduate, which is really exciting. So if you want to become a health coach, look into IIN. Come into the Learn True Health Facebook group and ask me and ask the other listeners who have also participated in IIN about our experience. I'd love to share more about my experience with you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me through Facebook, or you can email me, support@learntruehealth.com. I'd love to share with you. But you know what? There's a ton of IIN grads in the Learn True Health Facebook group, and I'm sure they'd love to share with you as well. So come join the Learn True Health Facebook group and check out IIN. You can go to learntruehealth.com/coach to get a free sample class to see if it's something that would interest you. After taking that sample class, you'll have a really strong idea as to whether you'd want to take their program or not. So go to learntruehealth.com/coach, or you could call them up and ask them some questions, ask them to send you some more information, and make sure you mention the Learn True Health podcast with Ashley James to get the listener discount. One more thing, Elissa talks about supplements And I want to let you know that my absolute favorite supplements are with takeyoursupplements.com. When you go to takeyoursupplements.com, it's not like other websites where you buy it without talking to someone. In fact, the only way to get them is to talk to someone. Her name's Jennifer Saltzman. I've known her for coming on 9 years now. She's a wonderful, wonderful health coach, and she works with a variety of different supplements. These supplements are what my family and I have taken for the last 9 years, and I absolutely love them. They're very high quality minerals. A lot of them are liquid, so the body absorbs them really well. They're all plant-based and they're whole foods based. So they're really wonderful. A lot of them are very, very high quality. And I recommend checking it out, talking with Jennifer Saltzman at takeyoursupplements.com. Just fill out your information. She's not a salesperson. She doesn't push. She's not high pressure. She was never trained in sales. She is a health coach. So she'll talk to you and ask you questions about your health. And it's a free consultation. She's talking to you for free. And then she's helping you to order the right supplements for you, for your health needs, and for your budget. And they're high quality supplements that have a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like them, which is unheard of. That's why I love the company that she works with and the quality of the supplements, which are designed by naturopaths. And I love that she provides that service. She could absolutely charge her for her time, but she doesn't, because she really wants to help people. And she believes that the more people she helps, everyone benefits. So go to takeyoursupplements.com and talk to Jennifer Saltzman and get on a really wonderful liquid mineral, trace mineral. It's life-changing. It was for me. Especially if you are deficient in trace minerals, you feel it within days. It feels really great. And she has a liquid multivitamin. So if you think you might be low in your B vitamins, just try it. Try it for 1 month and see how you feel. Everyone I've seen get on these supplements has had more energy and more mental clarity. And it helps us to do things like make better choices, like have more energy to cook healthier food, to get out there and exercise. So if you're like wondering where you should start, baby steps, one step at a time. Elissa gives lots of great information in today's interview. And one thing that's really easy that you can implement right now is a great liquid multivitamin, multimineral that you take every day that just helps saturate every cell in your body with the nutrients they need so that they can continue to build healthier and healthier cells. Thank you so much for being a listener of this show. It's made such a difference in my life to participate in creating this show for you. It's a labor of love, and I love being here for you guys and learning from all these wonderful experts. Come join the Learn True Health Facebook group if you haven't already. It's a really supportive community of health conscious people who are looking to help each other and also grow their health themselves. Excellent. Enjoy today's interview. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 395. I am very excited for today's guest. We have with us Elissa Goodman, who has an amazing story. You're a certified holistic nutritionist, is that right?
That is right.
Yes. We're gonna love learning from you, and it's very timely. I didn't tell you this before because I wanted to tell you and the listeners at the same time, but this interview is dedicated to my friend Barnetti, who passed away on the 2nd. I was with her in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
She passed away of...
Are you saying December 2nd?
December 2nd. Yeah, I was with her a few days ago.
Oh, goodness.
And it was standing room only in the hospital, surrounded by friends. And we watched her pass away very peacefully. I was, when she was first diagnosed with cancer, I was with her. And I was with her for the biopsy. I went to all her doctor's appointments with her for the first 8 months. And she, after 8 months of doing holistic medicine, and she was on the really, really good path. She totally had stopped the growth of the tumor. It had just completely halted. It was a very aggressive form of breast cancer. And
Okay.
after 8 months, she decided to go chemo. And then after chemo, decided to do radiation. And she regretted that so much because the cancer had actually completely gone away. And they convinced her to keep doing chemo and radiation. And then all of a sudden, it was in every organ system of her body. And
Mm.
she fought and fought and fought. And she regretted so much going down that path. It was amazing to watch the amount of fear that the doctors instilled in her, and they convinced her. They said, she said, I want to stop and just see and monitor and see what happens. And they said, if you do this, it's going to come back and we have to do radiation. We have to do more chemo. And there's a side effect. There is a potential side effect. Chemo and radiation has a potential side effect of causing cancer. And the cancer that ended her life was likely that. But so there was regret for her, but she fought for 4 years. And so when I looked on my calendar, because I've been a little bit of a daze recovering from losing her, I looked at my calendar and I saw that my next interview was with a woman who healed her body from cancer. And I thought,
that's interesting.
Yeah, you know what? The universe does that many times. It's been serendipitous many times. Because people book themselves, they choose the dates, and I've had on multiple occasions where I'll get like 3 interviews in a row about heart health. And I'm like, I didn't schedule it that way. It's just, it's really neat. Or I'll get 3 like plant-based doctors in a row, or 3, I'll get like multiple kind of just the same topic. And then, it's kind of, I'm sure the listener thinks I'm trying to like make a series on this one topic. And it's like, I just invite a bunch of amazing guests to come and they choose when they book themselves. And it always seems to work out. And it's funny because I've had listeners write me and say, I cannot believe the timing of this conversation. I was just looking for these answers. So I know that there's a divine universal intervention. And the fact that you're my first interview since losing Barnetti to cancer.
Wow, it does give me the chills.
It does give me the chills. And I'm sure she would love, she would have loved hearing your story. So with that, I just want all of us to take a moment to think about everyone we love and give them all mentally big hugs and gratitude. Yeah. Because all of us eventually will not be here. All of us, that's just life. Right. But how we get to determine the quality of our lives, and we get to determine the quality of our deaths. Hopefully. if it's not like from an accident, but if it's from illness, right? We get to choose that based on our daily choices. So you're going to teach us some amazing things today, the daily choices that we can make that's going to improve the quality of our life from years to come, and hopefully even the quality of our death. I was just watching last night a video, a cardiologist that passed away at 104. And he stopped working as a cardiologist at 95. But the interview he did was he was 98 years old, and he has been a vegan since his 50s. And he ate no processed food, no oil, no salt. He just ate whole foods. And he said, I could still be working right now, but I just chose to retire so I could spend more time with my family. And he passed away so peacefully at 104. And I wish that on all of us. I wish that on every listener that he was gardening up until he was 104. He was healthy as a horse.
Remarkable.
And that's what I want, that level of quality of life. His family said he was lucid and awake to the moment he passed away, that he was completely here with us. He didn't have dementia. He didn't have heart disease. He wasn't degenerating. That's what I want for all of us.
That's
I want
remarkable.
That level of health.
I need to know that.
I'll send it to you.
Yes.
I'll post it in the show notes. I'll send it. It's a great documentary, or a great video interview. And I've seen other clips of this man, but he's one of the cardiologists, the early cardiologists who, like, following Dr. Esselstyn, who I've had on the show, this movement of doctors that believe in the whole food, plant-based diet, no oil, no processed food at all, no salt, no sugar. And they reverse heart disease all the time. They reverse, 4 clogs in the heart. It completely gone with diet. And they're going against the grain because they don't believe that the drugs are helpful, and they'll blatantly say it. And these are cardiologists, the MDs. You know, Dr. Esselstyn is in his 80s and is still actively working as a cardiologist in the Cleveland Clinic. So we have to always get a second opinion, always look to supporting the body's ability to heal itself, and always believe that the body has a miraculous ability to heal itself. And we just need to support it and give it what it needs.
Right.
And drugs have their place, but the problem is we often will get swept up in the fear-based mentality that some doctors like to instill upon the patient. So I want to empower all of us, and myself included, to always support the body's ability to heal itself with every choice we make. And I know, Elissa, that you have some amazing information, having healed your own body of cancer, and then went on to become a holistic certified nutritionist. And I know your life goal is to teach all of us how to have that level of the quality of life that we could all live to be 104, gardening in our hundreds. Come on, let's do it, Elissa. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, amen.
Yes.
Sister.
Tell us your story.
Well, my story started, interestingly, and I talked to a lot of clients about this too, is when I came into the world, I actually had a low white blood cell count. So my immune system was compromised at an early age. And I remember growing up getting sick all the time. You know, just everything that was out there, if it was tonsillitis going around school, or strep throat, or mono, or just constantly never getting a pass, you know, always feeling sick. And when I was young, I had to get blood shots because my white blood cell count was low. So I had to get blood shots every 28 days for years. And I was in and out of the hospital at an early age. So I came into the world not strong in my immune system, but I also came into the world with two parents who were very successful, very type A, were taking on the world by storm. And so that combination, I feel, looking back, was hard on me because I wanted to be where they were at. I wanted to have the energy and the ability to get the things done that they did in a day and what they were able to accomplish, which I couldn't because I was always tired, not feeling well. I was always behind the eight ball. So it was really rough growing up like that. Even though I love my parents and I love my childhood, but there was that underlying situation going on with my immunity and with my emotional well-being. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like I could keep up. I didn't feel like, I was worthy. So it was just at an early age, it was a constant battle between the two of them. So I think that, then I actually followed in their footsteps with my job and my career. I moved to New York and worked in the fast-paced advertising business. And I thought that's what I wanted because that's all I knew. And I was always sick also with that because it was late nights and, a lot of partying, a lot of just not taking care of myself. I was very addicted to sugar, caffeine, carbs. Also in the days that I grew up in the 80s and 90s, I was just it was all about, low fat cookies and no sugar drinks, even though it was all chemically based. So I'm sure that didn't do any good things for me. It wasn't about, in those days, really whole foods and organic things. It wasn't organic when that was happening. Even when I was diagnosed, there wasn't really organic.
Right. Well, there was 50,000 or 80,000 less chemicals in our environment, though.
That's true. Yes.
So even, there wasn't organic
in
food in the 80s, although you could go to maybe a farmer's market or if a friend had a garden, but we didn't know what organic was in the 80s. No. But there was significantly less chemicals in our food.
Exactly. We still did. Yes, we still had food dyes. We still had, some of that unhealthy fats and hydrogenated oils, in our food. We still had too much sugar, but you're right. The chemical, pesticides on produce wasn't as bad. You're right. That was happening. But So what happened was I was living in New York for almost 10 years and I met my husband there and we were both in the advertising business, climbing the corporate ladder. And just we decided, we were ready to start a family. We had gotten married and I was like, wow, I can't see myself commuting out of the city, hour on the train and hour back into the city for work. It didn't feel healthy for me. And also I just kind of wanted to get back west because I grew up in the West Coast in Arizona. So I said to him, I really want to investigate maybe looking at California, Arizona, to have a little bit of a simpler, better life than this crazy New York life that we were living. And we did end up moving to Los Angeles. And at that time, I ended up getting a job with Vogue magazine, which I thought was a dream job in the marketing sales area. And then 6 months after the job with Vogue magazine, I ended up getting diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Hodgkin's lymphoma. I always do that. And my husband had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. And
is one worse than the other?
It just depends. They say non-Hodgkin's is a little worse because it has different stages of lymphoma, like large B cell, follicular. There's combinations of lymphoma cells that are combined for the non-Hodgkin's, where Hodgkin's is just disease of the lymphatic system. It doesn't have, the different forms. So it just depends on how far along either of these, because I know people who have passed away from both. So I had an early stage, but I didn't know what my symptoms were because basically I always felt crappy. So I was getting a massage from a woman and I was sitting upright and she was massaging my neck and my collarbone and she felt a lymph node, in the crevice of my collarbone. Mm-hmm. And she's like, wow, you're really not supposed to have a swollen lymph node there. You should just get that checked out. So a week later, I did go to the doctor and just a general practitioner, and he felt it. And I'll never forget this moment because he felt it and he was like, his face just completely, went blank. And it was like, oh my God, this could be cancer. That's what he says to me. And I was just like, whoa, doctors really don't have a great bedside manner a lot of times to throw that out there into your face without having, further knowledge of anything. And I did end up going to get a biopsy and it was an early stage of Hodgkin's lymphoma. But just the way I was treated along the way with the oncologist, with the general practitioner, it was very fear-based, like you were talking earlier. It was like, oh my God, and you're going to have to do chemo, radiation, and you haven't had kids yet, so you're probably going to have to freeze your eggs. And do you have a donor? Because we might have to do a stem cell transplant with a donor. I'm like, wait, this was way before it was staged. And it was just like, hold on, you guys, this is like way too much information for me to absorb. I'm already freaking out at the fact that I have cancer. Secondly, that cancer instills the fear of you could die. Yeah. And thirdly, all of these treatments that I know nothing about really at the time are scaring the living daylights out of me. So I had seen 2 oncologists and then a friend said, hey, I want you to go see a radiologist at another hospital in LA. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't go get another third opinion. I was just so done at that point. She's like, please go see him. I did reluctantly. And he sat me down. It was staged at the time. It was an early stage. And he asked me, are you happy?
Wow.
Do you love what you do? What's going on in your life? How stressed are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Emotionally, what's going on? And I was like, oh my God, I burst into tears. No one had ever asked me that, really. And I was like, I'm miserable. I am in a job that's over my head. I don't feel very well and I never have. I have all these emotions sort of stirred up inside me, those feelings of insecurity and not feeling good enough. And it was just like, wow. And I remember just the flood of emotion happening in his office and he just hugged me and he goes, you know what? We need to get you into therapy. And I did. I went into therapy at that time, and I basically, he basically just helped me on the emotional component, which was so big. And then I jumped into like reading everything I could about, just healing holistically with cancer. And I knew I wasn't going to completely go holistically, but I decided to not do chemo because it really scared me with my immune system. I was petrified of it. I did half the radiation that they recommended. My oncologist that I was going to fired me because he said, you're not doing what I recommend. And if this comes back, could be lawsuit material, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So I went to find an oncologist, a radiologist, and he did the radiation. And then I just kind of, my gut instincts were like, baby, I'm going to kick this sucker. It's an early stage. I'm going to change my lifestyle, deal with my emotions. And that's when a lot of things changed for me. Like I started juicing. There was one juice place blocks from where I lived in Los Angeles. There was Mrs. Gooch's, which is Whole Foods today, which was a grocery store that was, so beautiful. The produce was beautiful. Like things were healthier. There was a lot to offer in LA at the time. And so I just dove into all of that. I went to see a naturopath. I went and got colonics. I'm an Aries. So, Aries kind of like, they just dive in and they do everything they can. And sometimes without thinking, but I was determined, and I got into yoga. I did a lot. I did too much, basically, but I did heal. Like I basically healed. And then I went on to have 2 healthy girls, not without some complications, because after the radiation, because they radiated my thyroid, I got hypothyroidism Hashimoto's. And that took 3-4 years to diagnose. So that was a little tricky. I had gut issues. I had a lot of stuff after, the treatment. But I did have 2 girls. And then 11 years later, my husband at 43 and a half was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Can I stop you right there? I got questions
Yes.
about your. So you say that you went for chemo and radiation?
No, I decided not to do the chemo. I said no to the chemo, and I did half the radiation they recommended.
So what happened? So you were like, how many was it? Like 6 sessions of radiation?
6 sessions, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so you did 6. What happened on your 6? Why did you stop?
Well, no, I just decided, basically they wanted me to do 12. And at 6, my lymph node was completely gone. And I just decided that the radiologist was on board with me with the 6 sessions. So it wasn't like I was just going, I wasn't going into the wild, wild west, without any help and guidance. So my radiologist that I had taken on board with me in regards to not completely frying myself. So when I didn't need to.
When you were doing the 6 radiation sessions that made the lymph node go away, you had also implemented all these other things at the same time, right?
Yeah, I did.
How do you know it was for sure just the radiation, or you think it was a combination of everything, or you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm just going to keep doing all this natural stuff.
No, I mean, I don't recommend people just going natural. Of course, I want to preface that.
We should always work with a doctor that we trust and get second and third opinions. It's just the question is like when we do the shotgun approach, which we often do when it's something when it's a serious illness, right? We want to do the shotgun approach, but there's always that question of, well, what worked? Because if someone had just done radiation and not done not worked on the emotions and not started eating healthy and not changed anything of their lifestyle that led to the cancer in the first place, would the radiation have been effective with 6 sessions, or would they needed 12, or would they needed that and chemo and they would have died anyway? So the question is,
good question.
What really helps the body heal cancer?
Well, now years later, many, many years, and working with a lot of cancer clients, I could tell you what does heal the cancer now. But then I wasn't sure. But, one of my favorite cancer books that came out maybe 2-3 years ago is called Radical Remission.
Mm.
Do you know it? It's by Kelly Turner. She did her PhD for 10 years and she interviewed stage 4 cancer cases
Mm.
and they all healed holistically. None of them did Western meds. And she came up with 10 modalities. 7 of them were emotional. The 8th one was food. The 9th one was supplements. The 10th one was exercise.
Mm.
So in a nutshell, it's really, I think it comes down to when working with clients and seeing what happened with my husband, who passed away a year and a half after his diagnosis, and what you were saying with the fear factor. I think that what it is, we have our subconscious is fully downloaded by the age of 7. So you and I operate today 90 to 95% out of our subconscious. So if we had any trauma going on in those early years, and it doesn't potentially have to just be those early years, but that subconscious is fully, set in those early years. And if we had death, divorce, or people saying you're not smart enough or you're not pretty enough, or, could just be depending on, if you're a sensitive soul and you come into the world and, people are slighting you, that could be traumatic for you. There's all kinds of things that go on in our lives when we, come in to the world and maybe it's not a safe household and, parents are not getting along, or it's just, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it depends on the person too, that our subconscious, is consistently sending us messages. We're not good enough. We're not good enough. Or, just, we're not pretty enough. We're never going to be smart enough. And it down regulates our immune system.
Right.
I think in a nutshell.
Yeah. Anytime we're triggering the sympathetic nervous system response, going into fight or flight, any stress or emotional, anything's perceived as a threat, and even a cultural threat or a community-based threat. So that unconscious fear of being rejected from the tribe, because that meant death to us. So even being bullied on social media.
Yes.
So it can be totally emotional, but that would absolutely trigger the stress response and thus affect the immune system.
Absolutely. And I think it's that in a nutshell, or living in fear consistently, it shuts down the digestive system when you're stressed, as we know, so even if you're drinking healthy juices and eating kale salads, you might not absorb the nutrients from that healthy food.
If you're in stress mode, because we don't digest when we're in stress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liver doesn't work properly to detox the toxins out of the system. Or to, turn them into a safe form to get them out of the body. Everything kind of shuts down. So I lived in fight or flight my entire life. I was always in that mode. And so I think, I did dive. I still was in fight or flight when I dove into all these things. Honestly, I feel grateful. And I think I was just really lucky that I don't know which of those things really did help me. I think a combination of them did. But I think I also dove in and went, I'm worth living.
Yes.
My life is worth it. And I have a lot of years to live. And I definitely want to live them. I wasn't ready to go. And I think that's a big thing. I think, my husband who passed away, his dad died at 2 of cancer, of melanoma. And I will never know to this day if that was, in his subconscious, that he just thought cancer was death and that was it. But he was in a fear-based mode for a year and a half and never got out of it. And I don't think he thought that he could live. I think there was a part of him that was this is going to get me. I'm going to try not to let it, take me down. But the same thing happened to him that happened to your girlfriend. In a year and a half, he had 2 stem cell transplants, his own and a donor, which is really unheard of. And every time that cancer came back in his blood, he was getting hardcore chemo, and he died of fungal pneumonia. He didn't die of cancer. He died because his immune system was compromised.
Yeah.
So these treatments, yes, I think, they can work, but I think the biggest thing that we have to focus on these days is the love we have for ourselves the self-worth we have, the honoring ourselves that we're good enough and that we're worthy of a really healthy, beautiful life. Because I think a lot of clients, and myself included, didn't feel that way. I didn't even know what loving myself felt like. When I ask what clients these days, do you love yourself? 99% say no. What does that look like? What does that feel like? They don't even know.
Early on when I first started this podcast, it's way back, somewhere in the first 20 episodes, I interviewed a mental health counselor. I actually interviewed 2 mental health counselors. It's like 4 interviews in total. I did 2 interviews with each. And so it's way back in the first few interviews of the show. And one of them said, and it just floored me, almost fell off my chair. If you were to look at your relationship with yourself like a relationship like a couple has, you'd call the cops on yourself. And I was like, you're right. He goes, you would never talk to a loved one the way you talk to yourself.
Yeah, true.
We really, when we really look at it, I mean, how much compassion are we giving ourselves?
I know.
And, we'll self-medicate to make us feel better. We'll, binge Netflix late at night instead of giving our bodies the sleep it needs, or
Yes.
drink wine or eat, sugar or whatever, way to numb emotions instead of face them.
Yeah.
But we'll make excuses for not going to the gym, or we'll make excuses for eating out instead of eating a home cooked meal. But if we had a child that we were taking care of, we'd be like, no, I'm not going to feed you fried restaurant food every day. No, I'm not going to let you stay up till 2 a.m. binging Netflix. No, I'm not going to let you eat a pint of ice cream. Of course I'm going to take you to the park so you can get lots of exercise. Like we treat other people better that are in our charge than we do our own body. And our body is in our charge as well. And the body is the only body we're going to have this lifetime. So it's like the coat we put on, and we have to take care of this coat for 104 years, right?
Yeah.
We have to make it last.
Absolutely.
But we really need that wake-up call of, myself included, why are we treating ourselves this way?
I mean, I don't mean to laugh at it. It's just, we get on an airplane and we're told to put the oxygen mask on first. I wonder if we're in that situation, if we really would do it.
Well, that's what they have to tell us. They actually have to put little cartoons on the thing that show you doing it. And it's just like, because it would go completely against our instinct. We would be making sure everyone else has an oxygen mask on first, and then we'd pass out.
And
that makes us a danger to others around us.
Yes. It does.
Yeah.
It does. And I think that, I know today that with having a family and having a second family, if I'm not in a good place emotionally, and if I'm stressed and, not eating well and not sleeping and all of those things, the rest of the household just really pays the price. Everybody is off kilter. I know, because us women, a lot of times, and I'm not, saying that men don't, but a lot of times the women do set the tone for the house and how happy it is, how safe it is, how, calm it is. And we aren't doing that these days. We are creating an unsafe, very stressful environment. And we really are doing a disservice to our kids and to even our loved ones. So, I think that we were brought up, and we still are being brought up, that, that we are supposed to take care of everybody else before ourselves. And it's really not okay at all. There's no part of that is okay. And I know I still struggle with it at my age, at 59, but I have never felt better in my entire life, because I have started to take care of myself and love myself and honor myself and really, be selfish, but not hopefully in a selfish way where I'm disregarding the people that I love in my life. But, and I see the benefits. because
Mm.
I just have so much energy like I've never had. I don't get sick. I really am very like mentally clear. I sleep really well. I have really beautiful intimate relationships, and I just love life. And it took me a long time to get there. So my goal, also, of course, these days is to help people get there sooner than I did. But I didn't live a healthy life for many years, but now at 59, I feel fantastic. So I'm trying to tell and teach people like, wow, you can get there. Yes, you don't feel good now, but that's not your destiny. Yes, you have cancer now, but that doesn't have to be your destiny. Cancer doesn't mean death. Cancer doesn't mean that your life is going to be endlessly, health issues. Like your body can heal itself. I mean, if stage 4 cancer can heal holistically, you can heal from these ailments. And I've seen it happen. I've seen clients heal. I've seen clients go in for radiation and not get radiation and tumors shrink.
I'm sorry, can you say that
They,
again? They went in
they,
for radiation, but they
yeah,
didn't get the
they
radiation?
didn't, it was a placebo effect. It was,
Huh.
it's studies that have been done. I mean, placebos
Oh,
all over the place.
yes.
We know that if we think we're healing, most of the time we are healing. As we were talking about with the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, if we're in rest mode, we are healing. If we are not in rest mode, we are not healing. So it can be as simple as that. If we are
Mm.
constantly pumping out cortisol and adrenaline from our adrenals, we are not in the mode to heal. So, and bottom line, I'm trying to teach people that it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't mean that it has to be, a hyperbaric chamber in your house or an infrared sauna. They expensive things. I mean, what helps us heal is, getting back in our body and teaching ourselves to de-stress, whatever manner that might be. If it's doing yoga or it's doing, meditation or it's doing breath work, or it's journaling. There's some beautiful things out there these days where we can get our body to be, definitely relax our central nervous system and our vagus nerve and, get ourselves back into a place where we're back in our body. A lot of times I see my clients where their head is disconnected from their body. So to get us back into feeling our intuition and our gut instincts, because they're very strong, because we know what to do for ourselves. And we know when we're stressed, and we know when we need sleep, and we know when we need better food, right? We came into the world with incredible instincts. We've just lost sight of them, but they're still there. So sleep is crucial because our body resets between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. But we don't go to bed at 10 p.m. usually because we were talking, so we're up till 2 watching Netflix or binging on the Netflix or something. But yeah, and we lose those 4 hours of resetting. We can't regain those. That's the problem. We can't sleep in, until 10 and hope that that's going to help us. That doesn't work like that.
It's not
Our body,
regenerative sleep. Even
no,
if we did sleep in, it's not the kind of regenerative sleep we need.
no. So it's things that just the stress is crucial. The sleep is crucial. We're such a dehydrated society, but then we have all this water out there and all this bottled water we're buying, but we're drinking it and peeing it out because we're not absorbing it because we don't have the minerals in our body to help the water go into the cells. So there's all the, so we're very dehydrated. We get up and we go right for that coffee in the morning. We don't even drink water before, after our body's been detoxing and cleansing throughout the night, and it's super dehydrated. So there's, just getting up and drinking 2 cups of water is like a beautiful thing before you drink your coffee or any caffeine drinks.
And that's the catch-22 is that's the self-medication because we are so dehydrated, lacking sleep, lacking minerals, lacking nutrients, full of stress. So then we need to self-medicate in the morning just to get started.
Right.
And that masks the symptoms our body's trying to, the symptoms are the language of the body.
Yeah.
So many naturopaths have said that, the body whispers to us first, and we
Right.
need to listen to that language of the body. If we listen to these symptoms, for example, my friend Bernadette, a year before her cancer diagnosis, her body started giving her some really weird symptoms. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we ignore these symptoms. My mom passed away of liver cancer, and when
Oh,
I was 22 years old,
sorry.
and she ignored her symptoms and she chalked them up to things like postmenopause. I'm stressed because she had just closed her business and retired
Yeah.
early. She was in her 50s. She retired.
Yeah.
She moved. She sold the house. Then moved to a condo. Then we sold the condo, and then they moved to Florida. And it was just like so much, that's stress, right? But she was
Yeah.
chalking up all her physical symptoms. My mom was so healthy. She was always physically fit. She exercised 6 days a week. She did step
Wow.
classes, spinning, Pilates, weightlifting. She took supplements. She went to naturopaths. She did all this healthy stuff. And then her MD talked her into a bunch of meds
Uh-huh.
meds to get her to go to sleep. Meds for hormones, which were non-bio
Yeah.
identical hormones.
Bioidentical.
The
Yeah.
As she was dying in the hospital, those meds were taken off the market. The hormones that her doctor had her on were taken
Yeah.
off the market in Canada for causing too much cancer.
Ah,
So maybe if she was not in a stress state, maybe if
yeah.
she had taken it more easy, maybe her immune system would have been stronger and not have gotten cancer. That's possible. Maybe if she had
Right.
not gotten on that med and not listened to that doctor and instead just gone, maybe taken her hormonal advice from a naturopath who would have given her some herbs,
Right.
maybe she wouldn't have, so there's so many maybes, right? We can always
Yeah.
hindsight it. But her body was telling her symptoms
Yeah.
for
And
a long time before it led to cancer, but we often will override them by self-medicating or by
yeah.
writing it off or brushing it off as normal. We drag ourselves through the mud, and we just drag our bodies through the mud, putting everyone else's needs first and downplaying our own needs.
Yeah.
I was just helping a family member take them to the emergency room about a month ago, and the doctor said this doctor said, "Why didn't you come in 3 days ago when your symptoms first started?" And
Yeah.
not in a mean tone at all. He was
Right.
very nice. He just wanted to know why. And she said, "I thought it would get better." And he said, "That is the number one thing I hear." He asks every patient, and the number one thing people say is, "Well, I think, it might get better, and I just wouldn't want to have to go through the hassle of going to the clinic or going to see a
Right.
doctor about it." Because, you don't want to be that person that's like, "Oh, my toe hurts." And then the doctor looks at you like there's nothing wrong with you, go home, which some doctors might do even if there is something wrong. So that's always good to get a second opinion. But this is where listening to your intuition, like you said, tap into your intuition and
Yes.
don't be worried about being a bother. Some people are
Yeah.
worried that it would be too troublesome. I'm gonna bother the doctors and I don't need to, and then they're gonna think I'm silly. And it's just, forget it. Your body has these symptoms for a reason. The body, if your car made weird noises, you take it to a mechanic, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's the
Yeah.
listening in when it's still a whisper.
Right. That's what I was saying. That intuition, that those instincts, because they were really strong when we were born, and we lose sight of them because when we grow up, we have people in our life that's saying, "Oh no, you shouldn't feel that way," or "No, that's not the way it will happen." I mean, but we do know. I do know. Honestly, when I'm making the right choice or not making the right choice. It doesn't mean that I don't make wrong choices, but I know my instincts are speaking very loudly to me, even with food now, because I'm so tuned into it because of what
Mm-hmm.
I do. But there's certain, like, I can drink cashew milk, for instance, but if I have a handful of cashews, my stomach is a mess, and sometimes I'll just crave those nuts, and I will have a handful of cashews, and I'll be a mess. So, and I'm like, damn, girl, I know better. But but if we tap in more often than not, doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. But yes, our body is speaking to us. It totally is telling us everything we need to know. And I basically love where medicine is going a bit more these days, because
Mm-hmm.
the integrative, functional, and naturopaths are really incredible because they're doing blood tests and they're actually spending time with their clients, a lot of them, mine do here in LA, finding out about their emotional well-being and about their upbringing and if they were natural childbirth or C-section, because sometimes, we know that the gut plays a large part in our immune system, of course, and also what happens with our serotonin and our mood. And sometimes C-section babies, of course, don't have enough microbiome. And so they ask these questions and it's like, wow, that is amazing, because you can go way back and see what the history is like, and is their immune system not been that strong? And is their emotional stress been really intense through their life? And have they taken some hardcore drugs, like you were saying, not maybe it's the birth control pill has wreaked a lot of havoc with gut bacteria. And it's Accutane that kids take for, there's this all, and even over the counter drugs, Tylenol, Advil, Aleve, they're all causing havoc with our microbiome. And antihistamines are some of the worst. So today it's very cool that a lot of doctors are knowing that these things have some issues, and they can ask clients, and I can ask clients, give me your history. What have you done over your lifetime? And have you taken a lot of these things? And we can kind of get to the root cause of why they're having certain symptoms, and maybe even why they have cancer. I do believe we have microscopic cancer cells in our body. Sure. And I just think that, and we have toxins and we have pesticides and we have heavy metals probably and some mold, right? And parasites. I mean, not to scare anybody, but
it's okay. We talk about parasites all the time on the show.
Right. So I think that, they're just laying dormant there, and viruses, they lay dormant in the body. And then when sort of a perfect storm happens, they can raise their ugly head. And that's when these things, come to fruition. And you're like, holy, why wasn't I taking better care of myself for those years? So, but sometimes people just don't know how to take better care of themselves. They've never been taught. Yes. They don't know what it looks like, right, Ashley?
Yeah, right. So, well, my dad was an Aries, so I know he was like you. He was just go, 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 go. He had this thing where he believed that the mind-body connection was so strong that when he was sick, so he got a cold or a flu or whatever, he would tell his body he wasn't sick. He would tell his body he's healthy, and he'd just plow through it.
Yeah.
And he'd be like laying in bed with 105-degree fever, just delusional, being like, I'm fine. I'm just gonna get up tomorrow. I'm just gonna sweat it out and get up tomorrow and I'll be fine. And he really believed in the mind-body connection, which there is a mind-body connection. We can, have a positive belief system about our healing, but he would use it in a more negative way to deny his body care that it needed. And he wouldn't actually sit and rest. His brother, my uncle, died suddenly in our family factory, and he completely shut down. His body just shut down. He got pneumonia, and he needed to take 6 months off. And that was the first time I ever saw him take a break in his life. And he was just so depressed because he went go, 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 A-type personality, and then he hit a wall. Emotionally, his body said, I can't handle this. You can't keep going at 1,000,000 miles an hour and have these emotions. Like, you just have to shut down. Right. So that was my example. And then my other example, growing up, we look at both our parents for lessons. So on one hand, I'm looking at my dad like, oh, you can just will yourself healthy and go, 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 and just, eat your emotions and ignore your body and just your mind is so strong, you can plow through it. Just have a coffee and keep going. Who needs sleep anyway? Right. And then my mom, Taurus, A-type personality, very like slower than my dad, but driven, a bull. So she's going to just push through slowly. And she had a routine. She was fierce. She would get up at 6 a.m. She would do the same thing every day, have the protein shake, do her makeup or no, she would go to the gym, then do her makeup, go to work for like 12 hours, then because she ran her own business, then come home like super late at night, totally exhausted, and do it all over again, day after day after day. And so I watched both of them, and it's like, and then they'd crash on the weekends. The weekends were like, they were just dead. They were just, because, back then there was no internet. You couldn't actually work on the weekends. If they could have worked on the weekends,
oh my God,
they would have kept going.
Yeah,
right? And so
exactly.
this is my example of health is just you go, 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 ignore your body. You're a machine and then you just crash. And so when it came time to like have vacation, we would take 3 weeks off in the wintertime. And for,
Hmm.
because that's when their businesses, no one was working. So thank God, no one was working. So they couldn't work because they both owned their own businesses. And the first week of vacation was this, them totally collapsed and they couldn't even enjoy,
Yeah,
themselves. Right. And
yeah,
it's like, how much enjoyment are you getting out of life by just plowing through it and ignoring your body? My mom died at 55. My dad died at 62.
yeah. That's wow.
And that's,
So sorry that like you've had a lot of death around you.
well,
Whoa,
it's to I share it
and it's too young.
because it
Hmm.
is very young
Yeah.
for me to lose my parents. They were very passionate, and I carry on everything I learned from them, but
Yes.
I'm using it as an example because we can look at our own lives and look at how we treat our bodies and look at the room for improvement. Because no matter how much self-care we do, I think there's always room for improvement. There's always blind
Yeah.
spots. My parents
Yes.
had blind spots, and
Right.
I'm sure they would do it differently if they had the hindsight.
Yes.
Because they thought they really believed they were going to live in well into their 80s,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
genetically they could have. I have family members on both sides that are almost 90, so genetically they could have done
Yeah.
it, and that's
Right.
where lifestyle comes into play. genes
Yes.
genes are just the blueprints, and the nutrition aspect, like you said, we have
Yeah.
to have the minerals to get the hydration into the cells, right? And if you
Yeah.
don't, it doesn't matter what kind of genes you have, whether
Right.
your whole family has cancer in the history or not. It's about the level of lifestyle nutrition that you're dealing with now. So
Yeah.
you had this tragedy, losing your husband. How did you where did you go from there? I mean, you were obviously in shock. That was very
Yeah.
quick
Hmm.
to have lost him from diagnosis to his death was did you say it was 18 months?
Yes. It was a year and a half. Yeah.
So it's very
Yeah. It was
quick, and
very quick.
he was fighting, but you saw that in his belief system, he didn't work on his belief system, that he
No.
sort of had this belief that this is a death sentence.
Yes. I think that, he was very type A as well. And that, was also one of those that powered through, like didn't watch his symptoms, didn't pay attention.
Mhm.
So there was, months and months went on where he had swollen lymph nodes on his neck, didn't take
Mm.
care of them. So yeah, I'm not that, and if he had taken care of it potentially at the beginning, maybe that could have been, a different outcome.
But
Um,
we can just all we can do is learn. All we can
yeah,
do is learn from our
yeah,
past. We can't hold ourselves to this regret for so long. After my mom's passing, I blame myself for her death, which is crazy to do for a 22-year-old. To think, like, if only I had done this for my mom. If only, I mean, I was just grasping at straws because
yeah.
I guess I just wanted to make sense of it. And I ended up feeling guilty for her death and blaming myself. And I did a ton of emotional work. I've spent years in the healing
Yeah.
and gaining great perspective. And I feel very healthy about my childhood, about my past, and about my relationship with my mom and her death. I feel like I've come to a very healthy place now because I've done that work. And I can
Hmm.
see that, even now with Bernadette's passing, I caught myself going into that, I could have done this, I could have done that. And
Yeah.
I just become the observer and seeing that self-talk and not letting it take hold of me, but just observing it, going, isn't that interesting, this thought process? It's not the truth.
Right.
What do
Right.
they say? Feelings aren't facts. It's
Right.
just a thought. This thought isn't true.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I can have this thought, and but I'm not gonna let this become a truth for me, because I can't. I could not control her, like I can't control anyone. I can only control myself. So I
Yeah.
couldn't have controlled the outcome, no matter how
Right.
much I wanted to, obviously.
Same.
Yeah.
Same
So,
with him.
but
Yeah, that's
it's
the same. I tried to bring in some holistic things into his, regime, but it was hard because the doctors were speaking another language. Like they're like,
Yeah.
that's not going to help. None of that, the healthy food, the juicing, all that stuff, that's not going to help.
Nurturing the body, giving it all the
Yeah.
raw building blocks it needs to
Right.
build healthy cells.
No,
That's not going to
not
help.
gonna,
You need
no.
hardcore drugs and
Right.
chemicals.
To just demolish your body.
Yes.
And demolish all the cells, the good and the healthy and the not healthy cells.
Right.
So
right.
I know. And it came to it interestingly afterwards, a girlfriend of mine was into the EMFs, the magnetic frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to come over to the house after he passed away to like actually test the house. Because we had taken an old home in Los Angeles and we remodeled it. And I know she just had this feeling like she didn't feel like right about there might be too many EMFs in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And she was actually completely right. She came over with her meter, and shockingly, when we tested it on his side of the bed, the EMFs were off the chart. So I'm not sure, we're not sure, of course, exactly what caused that, but I do know that we had built the home, we had built on our master bedroom, and sometimes what happens is wires aren't grounded properly.
Yep.
There's all kinds of things that go on. So interestingly, yes, on my side of the bed, it was normal. On his side of the bed, it was off the charts high.
I've interviewed a few building biologists and I've had some handful of amazing EMF interviews. Sal LaDuca was the first one I did, and he's like a PhD electrician or something like crazy. His credentials are off the charts, and he had some amazing stories to share about the home and EMFs, and how he'll be invited into a home, and just like you said, on one side of the bed will be basically like cancer causing EMFs or something similar, but he's had some amazing experiences, and he can actually explain why it happens, because he's an electrician or like an electrician engineer or something like that. I know I'm saying his credentials wrong, but it's a very academic and can absolutely explain the science of why. But that so many homes that we think we're safe, but it could be whole neighborhoods. He says the problem can actually start at the transformer for an entire neighborhood. So a transformer, like we all, I guess, we're naive. We assume our food is safe, our home is safe, our electricity is safe. But he shares many horror stories, and also the resolution of them, where the transformer, the problem was outside the home, but it was affecting every single home in the neighborhood, and that everyone's health was affected. But people don't. If you're, again, ignoring your body, or self-medicating with coffee and sugar and alcohol or whatever, then you're not listening to your body. You may not realize that you feel worse when you're at home and better when you're away from the house.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. All this stuff is, even with the mold issues, with people's homes. I definitely see a lot of that too. But people. Thank God, we're more making them aware of these things, the EMFs, trying to talk to people about 5G, which is really sort of detrimental to our health, and the mold issues, and let's say the heavy metals. I'm constantly having my clients get tested for pesticides and heavy metals and mold, just to see, if there's any underlying currents that we need to take care of, because that's, those underlying currents are what cause inflammation to happen, and which a lot of times too causes the body to, go into that mode that it won't, the cells won't actually replicate in a healthy way. So, and plus getting nutrient deficiency tests done to see what nutrients, not just, piling on all the nutrients and going out and buying all these millions of supplements that, there are today with fillers and synthetics, which drive me crazy as well. But, just really finding out at the root level what nutrients you are deficient in and taking care of that. I mean, just by doing, that and doing a really deep dive into like your blood counts, your thyroid, your adrenals, your hormones, your, what's really going on with your cortisol, your vitamin D, like, can be life-changing. And doctors in those days when I was going through all this and when my husband was going through it, they didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
So,
Something as simple as vitamin D, having
yes,
healthy levels of vitamin D is a huge cancer preventer. They're seeing that people who are
absolutely.
chronically low in vitamin D are far more likely, don't remember the statistic, but it was shocking, far more likely to get cancer if you have chronic low vitamin D. And it's also an indication. I have early on, I have an episode. These episodes have been bumped off of iTunes because iTunes only allows for 300 and we're approaching 400. But they're all on my website, learntruehealth.com. I have an early interview early on, all on vitamin D, the entire episode by a naturopath, all on vitamin D. And it's fascinating how our body makes it. I just thought it was like sunlight hits our skin and then we have vitamin D. Like, I just didn't know anything else. And that our liver is involved, our kidneys involved, that, our cholesterol levels are involved. And obviously sunlight being that final step that our body needs sunlight on direct naked skin. But that if we have kidney issues or liver issues or not enough healthy cholesterol, those are all factors that need to come into play to make vitamin D levels. And then we have to look at, like, what if low vitamin D is not the problem, but the symptom of a problem? So coming back even before that, like, why is the body not producing enough vitamin D? Besides the fact that we're not getting enough sunlight, even in the summertime, people are vitamin D deficient. So what's going on? Is the body deficient in the healthy cholesterol? Why is the body deficient in the healthy cholesterol? Are the kidneys functioning correctly? Is the liver functioning correctly? What other cofactors are missing? So kind of creeping back and trying to go, like, sort of upstream, like, what is actually causing, where's the beginning? Where's this dysfunction? Where did it all start that has this? Because we're just doing a blood test of something and we're treating, just take a vitamin D supplement. Well, if your underlying problem is a kidney issue or a liver issue or the low healthy cholesterol, great to take a vitamin D supplement, but that's, again, just masking a symptom. That's not addressing the root cause.
Yeah, I know. And I think what feels scary these days for a lot of people, and for me too, sometimes, is like, the internet and Google. So that could be, that's very overwhelming. I mean, I know when I was going through all this, I didn't have that, so it had to be searching through books or talking to doctors but yeah, Google can really screw us up because you can just, go on and plug in, what are the symptoms of low vitamin D? And, you have some of those symptoms and go out and buy the vitamin D, or even go on, watch me on Instagram. And I'm like, hey, everybody, vitamin D is really important because of these reasons. So then a lot of my followers will go out and buy that vitamin D. And I'm like, oh, maybe you don't need it. Like, have you checked to see, like you're saying, if you really do need it and what's going on with you and what are the other factors that are happening that, for the reasons why you think you might need it. So it's a little, we've done a disservice. And to ourselves with all the information out there too, because people are very confused at what direction they should be going these days and what is going to make them healthy and what isn't going to make them healthy. So
yeah,
that's a whole other, the supplement market is just really out of control, and the superfoods that are out there and the combinations of things, and a lot of them have fillers and synthetics in them that aren't so great for you.
Well, I would propose that the pharmaceutical industry is out of control, and
yes,
that people are desperately seeking something less poisonous, and anytime that there's a demand, people are going to try to fill that demand, and there's companies that are ethical and companies that are looking to make a profit off of us, and because it's the Wild West out there, but we want it to be, because if the supplement industry was regulated, which it's not, if it was regulated, then it would be completely controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. So we want to protect our ability to gain access to supplements. We just have to be we have to be educated consumers. So we have to find the supplement companies that are ethical, that don't do skip batch testing, they test every batch with a third party
Yeah.
lab, that they publish those findings. Like you said, they don't have the fillers, that they're willing to be that open book and show us that they're ethical. And there are out there.
Yeah.
There's those
There
supplements out
are.
there.
Yeah.
And then you go to
There are.
Walmart or whatever, you go to some kind of Bartell's, Walgreens, whatever, and you're just like, oh, here's a vitamin, whatever. Let's pick it off the shelf. They did. I have a friend who is doing his pre-med in Michigan, and his class, in one of his classes, did a really fun science experiment. It was for chemistry or something, but they went out
Right.
and they bought vitamin C off of every brand they could get off of any kind of like over the counter. So went to a bunch of pharmacies, went to a bunch of, big box stores,
Right.
and bought every single kind of vitamin C, every brand they could find. And they went and they tested it. They had equipment that they could test the purity of it. There were brands that had 0 vitamin C in it,
Yeah.
that claim that
believe
it's
it.
a 100 milligram tablet or whatever, 1,000 milligram tablet. So there's some that have no vitamin C, that they're just all
Right.
just flavoring. There are some that have half the amount of vitamin C. There's some that but none of them were pure, and none of them were what they actually said was on the label. And I know that they've done a study, and you can Google this, that they were studying ginkgo biloba, and they found that most of them had lower levels that were published on the label, and some had no ginkgo biloba, which is an herb. So
Right.
it is
Right.
buyer beware,
Yes.
which I
Yeah.
agree, but I think it's coming from a demand that the consumers are sick and tired of being sick, and also sick and tired of being given drugs for absolutely every symptom. So
Yeah.
we're kind of like
Yeah.
just
True.
blindly flailing our arms, grabbing at whatever we can, and sometimes it's low quality supplements, and then people say supplements don't work, and they're given a bad rap, which is
Right.
unfortunate, because really high quality supplements are life changing. They have been
Yes,
for
they are
me.
for me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
they absolutely are for me too. I know, and there are some really great ones. I'm a supplement junkie, so for some reason, I got into all of that years ago, and just over the years, I've loved to try everything,
Yes.
and I'm always like searching out the highest quality products and companies, and yeah, I do. They have been life changing for me, definitely. And certain supplements, I feel that are important for all of us to take. Because I've noticed over the years with working with clients how well they do on just some of the simplistic ones. Like a probiotic. I mean, I think we all need, a better beneficial microbiome. And I think that, there's controversy about the probiotics. Do they work? Do they not work? But I've seen year after year with people putting them on really good, high quality probiotics, their digestive issues go away. They digest their food better. So their weight is affected, their sleep, their mood, everything, their immunity. So there just really are some, things that are important out there that people should be taking, but making sure that they are the highest quality. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know the controversy about probiotics is interesting. They say that after 30 days of taking a probiotic, that they couldn't find the actual probiotics culture in the gut. So it's not like,
right.
because we thought if you just take a bottle and it'll repopulate your gut, and then it'll always stay there. But they're actually finding that after you complete a course of probiotics, that they don't live much longer in the gut after we've taken it. I had a naturopath who does he's in the research side of things on the show talking about probiotics, but he says that doesn't mean they're not beneficial. They play this amazing role in helping heal the gut. But he doesn't think that people should always be on them forever, and you should cycle through and take different strains, but that it's helping to crowd out the bad bacteria while you're taking it, and also helping digest while you're taking it. But then it kind of creates this healthy space that when you stop taking it, for the good bacteria, but to also accompany it with eating a variety of fermented foods at each meal, small amount of fermented foods at each meal.
Yeah, I agree. That's what
Yeah.
I do. I love fermented foods. I have a cleanse that I actually cook and deliver to 100 people most months in Los Angeles and 150 people on about 3 or 4 months out of the year. And for 5 days, I put them on a reset. And the morning drink is a detox tonic for your gut. And it is coconut kefir, which is fermented coconut water. And it is
Yes.
full of beneficial bacteria. And then we have a liquid aloe vera and lemon and ginger and fresh and apple cider vinegar and a liquid probiotic. And people love that drink. Their guts are so much better in 5 days.
Mm.
So that, I like just seeing adding a probiotic and then adding, coconut kefir or even the yogurts out there that are great, or sauerkraut, kimchi, those fermented foods are amazing. And I know that a lot of clients don't eat enough of the fermented stuff. So I kind of have to push
Hmm.
them more down that road.
Yeah, well,
But
we used to eat fermented foods all the time, but now we're kind of obsessed in the last, I don't know, 50 years. We're really obsessed with sterile foods.
I know.
Maybe it started around, I don't know. Maybe when we learned about germs and then we created all
Uh-huh.
these like cleaners for bleaching germs, maybe we started thinking we should sterilize our food, or right around the 1950s when we had the TV dinners,
Yeah.
right? It became
Yeah.
this idea that to have packaged sterile foods would be really good for us. And we lost that connection with living foods. And
Yeah.
now we're seeing that
Absolutely.
there's about 6 pounds of good and bad bacteria, depending on the dysbiosis that's occurring in your body, but that there's about 6 pounds of bacteria that are in our gut that we need, that we
Yes.
absolutely rely on. And if we
Yeah.
were sterile, we could not digest that. The bacteria is what's digesting our food and helping us assimilate those nutrients. So it's phenomenal that we are
Yeah.
the giant petri dish,
Mm-hmm.
and
No, I know.
we need to support the petri dish
We
to have
do.
the good bacteria.
Yeah.
You
And
had
we
mentioned,
are bacteria. We're made up of, we're
yeah,
bacteria. So we have more bacteria in our body than we do cells.
there's more. It's like a 10-to-1 ratio. I read the other
Yes.
day. I was reading
Yes.
about that, and it was, but the bacteria cells are much smaller. But it is a
Mm-hmm.
10-to-1 ratio, meaning for every and we have 37.2 trillion human cells in our
Cells.
body,
Yeah.
and then it's 10 times more bacteria. So
Right.
we're a home we're a host to this symbiotic relationship, but we have to, it's kind of like, do you want to be the ghetto and have the street gangs in your body,
Mhm.
or,
Right.
do
Right.
you want to have Leave It to Beaver family in your body? I don't know. I'm just trying
White
to,
picket fence. The white picket
yeah, we want
fence
the
and
white picket fence. We want to be that home. We
good.
want to have that,
Right.
very peaceful, no one arguing. We want all the good bacteria. We don't want
Yes.
the violent gang bacteria in our body that's creating the dysbiosis and the candida and the parasites.
No. No.
So we have
I
to create that environment, and then that also directly affects our immune system, which then
Yeah.
would either help us create cancer or avoid cancer.
Absolutely. And as well as depression, anxiety, all of the
Mm.
above, like that's 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. So, and then your gut, you need that microbiome to actually absorb the nutrients from your food, and also to also help with producing B12, which is really crucial.
Hmm.
Another crucial, vitamin for the body. If we don't have proper microbiome in our ileum, which is the lower part of our small intestine, we're not going to produce B12. So that's
Yes.
a little
Yeah.
bit intricate, but and that is crucial for us with energy and mental fog and all of that. So
Yeah, and I also learned recently that 25% of our T3 is converted in the gut. So someone might end up
yes,
having low thyroid hormones on their blood panel and then be put on some drug. And the doctor just was freaking looking at the symptoms, just looking at a blood test,
right,
looking at
right,
symptoms, and then treating the symptoms with a drug rather than going, well, they're treating the smoke, not the fire. Can you imagine if firefighters only treated the smoke and left
yeah,
the fire burning? That's what doctors are doing by treating
right,
symptoms and not kind of backtracking and going, well, why is it that your body has 20, is less T3, right? And
Right.
if we could go back,
Right.
well, what helps create T3? And is it because you're missing the precursors? And is there something wrong with the HPA axis or the HPT axis? Is there something
Uh-huh.
wrong with what's going on? If doctors just asked more questions
I
and tried to
know.
go back further and further to the beginning, they could help
Yeah.
actually treat the root cause. But that's not part of their training. Their training is to deliver drugs and manage symptoms of the body.
Yeah.
So unless you go to a holistic doctor or holistic nutritionist like yourself, who gets really curious and wants to help us get to the root cause. So
Yeah.
if you healed the gut and that was the problem, then all of a sudden the thyroid levels are normal. And
I
that
know.
person never needed to take medication for their
I know.
thyroid because the thyroid was healthy. It's just the gut was not converting the T3.
And that thyroid medication is going to affect the microbiome. It's going to deplete it. So, I mean, so I know it is really crazy. I mean, that whole thyroid Hashimoto's whole thing is also pretty enormous. I mean, it's sad that cancer is not getting any better, and Hashimoto's is just one of the fastest growing autoimmune diseases today, which is related to the thyroid. I mean, it is really sad what's happening these days, and what you're talking about exactly is what we need more of is to have people out there that are educated, that are talking the talk, like you're saying, about the T3 in the gut, because we're put on thyroid medication that's only T4. So, and if you have Hashimoto's, you won't convert, T4 to T3, and T3 is what is really the driving force behind your thyroid. So, I mean, it's just, and even endocrinologists don't talk about that. So, and they don't even check your gut, and they don't check for celiac or, what's going on in your gut, and is your microbiome not healthy? It's really crazy. But I think that what is great is that there are, yes, like I said, like people like myself and lots of people like myself and great functional doctors and people who are really diving into all of this and getting to the root and knowing what to do when someone comes in and has these issues and can do a blood panel or just, or a gut microbiome test or a stool sample or whatever it needs to be to see what is really going on at the root level, not just taking the symptoms and band-aiding them. So, because we're not getting anywhere. Like I said, we're not getting anywhere with the cancer or the Hashimoto's or the thyroid. I mean, thyroid is just rampant in terms of the number of people and the younger generation that are having thyroid issues, right? So, this is really crazy and we can reverse it. I reversed it after 25 years on medication. I went into remission for Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, and my numbers are all perfect.
I love it. I love it that you're saying that, because I've talked to so many people who say they really believe it's a life sentence, that they will have their autoimmune condition for the rest of their life.
Yes.
And I will scream it from the rooftops. Autoimmune condition is not a life sentence. It's not like type 1 diabetes where you have to have it. Whereas, that's unfortunately, we haven't found a cure for type 1 diabetes. Maybe with stem cell therapy, they'll be able to regenerate the pancreas. It's simply the pancreas is gone. It's not working. Type 2 diabetes, easily reversible within 3 months. I reversed mine. I've helped so many people reverse theirs. Type 2 diabetes is not a life sentence, but if you go to I won't say regular, but if you go to an average doctor, they will put you on meds and say we have to manage the diabetes and never talk about cure. Never.
Yes.
And the average doctor will tell you that you have your Hashimoto's for the rest of your life and just help you manage it. Tell you have your autoimmune condition for the rest of your life, help you manage it. Now, can you recreate it? I can recreate diabetes. I can go right now to some fast food restaurant. I could eat absolute crap, change my diet, and I could recreate diabetes, because that's genetically or whatever, my body is going to go in that direction if I fill it with crap. If you fill your body with crap, I could eat the same crap food. You may never get diabetes, but you may get Hashimoto's again, and you may get cancer again, because that's your body is going in that direction. Those are the stressors, putting stress on your body exhibits in that disease. That's what breaks down first. It's like every car doesn't, if we drive a car for a million miles, the different parts will break, right? So it's just, we put the wear and tear on the car, different things break. For me, my body's going to go type 2 diabetes. And that's that is the first thing it's going to do if I eat
Yeah.
crap for 3 months.
Right.
So, but you can reverse it. You can
You can.
100% reverse autoimmune condition. I have seen so many people 100% be in remission, no longer have it, no longer worry about it. And I'm glad you're saying that today, because I
Yeah.
want those
Yes.
who have autoimmune to know that there's so much hope that the body can heal itself to the point where you no longer have it. It is
Yeah.
possible. What did
Yep.
you, so after
Absolutely.
25 years of having Hashimoto's, did you all of a sudden start doing something differently to
Yes.
heal your Hashimoto's? And what was it? What
Yes.
was it?
I mean, it was kind of fascinating because I do love all the science aspects of things, and I do try to dive into that as well. But I'm also a little bit about, like, I've seen energy healers for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I love Reiki. I love just the, all of the other holistic, you, modalities that you don't potentially have a lot of science behind them. So what happened was 3 years ago, I basically read The Medical Medium. His name's Anthony William.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd know about him.
Yeah.
I read his first book and I put it down and it was like, this is interesting. He's talking about all these viral issues in the body that lay dormant. And I had chickenpox and I had mono twice and strep throat and tonsillitis and I even had shingles. So I have, a high viral condition that's probably laying dormant in my organs. And so I just was interested, like, wow, no one's talked about that. So I did a session with him the following week and I got lucky to do one, and he was on the phone and he basically over the phone says, you have, Epstein-Barr in your thyroid and your liver. And if you don't do something about it ASAP, you're going to have some serious health issues. And who knows, he just is telling me this over the phone. So you take it for a grain of salt. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. He puts me on a protocol to lower my viral loads. So he puts me on bioactive silver and a concentrated liquid zinc, high dose of ester C, lysine, things that I knew about too that do lower viral issues. Licorice root extract. I did a little bit of like concentrated iodine for my thyroid. Swear to God, in 3 months, I went into hyperthyroid mode because I was still on my thyroid medication. And then basically my doctor weaned me off of the thyroid medication slowly. And that's 3 months to 4 months after doing this protocol. I was like, felt fantastic. That was just the beginning of my journey. I ended up finding out that I had celiac and I had a parasite. So, I kind of like it dove into all of this, and I took care of both of those things by healing my gut and by, getting rid of the parasite. I stayed on his protocol for probably a year. And then I ended up just, diving into more meditation, that's when I discovered my self-love aspect. And I really just tried to, go down this road of what I had been preaching, but also potentially not necessarily doing really well myself. I knew better, and so I did. I dove into taking care of myself better. And then, because I was already eating really healthy, and I still do. I have, since I've got into this practice, I eat really well and I'm more plant-based, but I didn't really dive into the, just the crux of what was underneath it all, like the potential parasites that I still had and the celiac, and some of the nutrient deficiencies that were happening within my body.
My issue with celiac is so many people can be diagnosed incorrectly because not the entire small intestine is affected, and they'll take like a biopsy and look at it under the microscope. They'll take a few different biopsies and they're just, guessing. And someone could absolutely have celiac and still it might come back as not, right? And so the thing
true.
is for me is, and I've been working with people for the last 7-8 years now. I get 100% of them to try no barley, wheat, rye, or oats. I know a lot of people go, well, there's no gluten in oats, or, oh, but these are gluten-free oats. Oats contain gliadin. Just consider it of this similar enough protein to cause the same damage.
Right.
People who react to barley, wheat, rye also will react to oats. So many times it's worth just taking it out, see what happens. Oats also
Yeah.
really spike the blood sugar. You know,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
had the author of Wheat Belly, who's a cardiologist that
Yes.
heals heart health and other diseases by watching creating healthy blood sugar, basically. And he's like, oats are just, I mean, they're kind of junk in that they really do raise blood sugar. They're not really great for many people.
True.
But anyway, so barley, wheat, rye, and oats, get them to avoid them for 30 days and then do a test day and only just eat pasta and pizza and just eat all your favorite, eat a bagel, right? Just fill your life up with barley, wheat, rye, and oats that day and see in the next few days how you feel. My husband and I were going to do this challenge. This was like back in 2011. We were told to do this challenge with a naturopath we were working with. And that was hard because we were eating, you know, somewhat still the standard American diet. Somewhat we'd already gone organic. We were shopping the perimeter, but you know, to be told to cut that out, some people are like, they just don't know how to shop or how to cook without barley, wheat, rye, and oats.
Right.
So we said, okay, well, we'll do the challenge. We'll do what you said. We'll take it out and then we'll do a challenge day. By the 5th day, we're like, we are never eating these foods again. We feel so amazing. I lost 25 pounds of water weight. I know it wasn't fat. It was 25 pounds of water weight from the inflammation. My husband, I don't know how much he lost, but he lost a bunch. And then our rings started flying off our fingers. And we had our rings sized for us when we got married.
Yeah.
And we had been married since 2008. So they were well-fitted rings. They weren't too tight. They were just perfect. And they started flying off our hands. And so after we decided to get them resized after a few months, because I didn't want it, what if this was temporary and the water came back? So after a few months, we went to get our rings resized. And I went down 1.5 ring sizes and he went down 2 ring sizes. And that's just from cutting out barley, wheat, rye, and oats.
Wow.
So we were never diagnosed with celiac. But we didn't have to be. We were convinced after day 5. Like we didn't even have to do the challenge day. We did not even want to do the challenge day. But since then, there's been a handful of times where I was like gluten poisoned, you know, either by choice or by accident. And I get a tummy ache and I get kind of bloated and don't feel great, but it's not life threatening. Thank goodness. It's just a mild inconvenience. So my day-to-day life is barley, wheat, rye, and oat free. And, but it's really interesting when I eat it and don't know I'm eating it by accident. And then I start feeling ill and then I look at the ingredients. I'm like, oh yeah. But when I was eating it every day, that was my norm. Yeah. You know, when we're in when we're eating something where our body's reacting to, imagine if you ate cashews every day.
I know.
Right? And it's just your norm. Yeah. And you don't know it's the cashews because it's just your norm. And maybe like the average person out there would eat what they're allergic to and then take some kind of, I don't want to say any brand names, but take some kind of drug to mask their digestive upset.
Digestion. Yep.
And just keep plowing through life, but not knowing that every time they ate that food, it actually disrupted their gut biome, disrupted their ability to convert T3, disrupted their immune system, created put the body in a stress response, fed the wrong bacteria, basically cultivated a stressed state for the body to create cancer and other diseases. Yeah. And it's so easy to cut something out and just replace it with something else. Like people are like, what do you eat? Oh my gosh, you're gluten-free. What do you eat? I'm like, you know, anything I want, just not barley, wheat, and rye and oats. You know, I just, there's so many foods. There's so
many
much.
other things that, you can eat. I know. Exactly. I mean, it's so true. I mean, it is, like I said earlier in our call is, you know, it's not supposed to be hard, all of this. You know, we're supposed to learn how to de-stress. We know sleep is important for us. We know that we need to be hydrated. And then when it comes to food, we know that we need to feel good after we eat. We do not need to be bloated and have digestive issues. That is not normal. So paying attention to that and eliminating those things that do give you the upset can be life-changing. Yeah. So, and just trying so hard to not eat the processed food and going for the whole foods as much as you can, you know, is really the ticket. And going organic, I think, you know, especially if you have a health issue, but not all things have to be organic, but just, you know, just really, especially soy and, like you said, oats and wheat, that do have glyphosate issues, and corn.
Yeah.
That's hugely important. But, just trying to eat whole foods and real foods. I mean, I tell people that, try to teach people how to meal prep for the week and to roast some vegetables and then stick them in a glass Pyrex dish and have them in the fridge. And just, having maybe sweet potatoes, some kind of grains or complex carbs that, not necessarily grains, but that do have minerals in them, roasted carrots and roasted beets and all of those things. And maybe, wild rice or black rice that don't have the gluten or, sensitivity to the gut, having those in a Pyrex dish.
Yes.
And then having, I go more plant-based. Like I'm a soy girl, so I do love organic soy, edamame or tempeh or lentils or chickpeas, and having those in a Pyrex dish. And then I have them have a lot of greens, and then they throw them all into a bowl.
Yes.
And the great dressing, and you're like home run. It's like a piece of cake. You could have that for the week set up, or you can make some easy pureed soups, because that's what my cleanse is. It's a lot of soups and salads.
Oh, I love it.
And it's a soup cleanse. And I have like recipes where it takes 15 minutes to make a pureed soup. You can pull that out and, make a salad and be on your way to health.
You're talking my language. It's bowls. That's exactly how I eat. You just make big batches of different foods, and then you just pull them all out and have bowls. That's what I had for lunch. That's what I had for lunch yesterday, lunch today, dinner the day before. I like doing a combination of raw and cooked. So I love one of my favorite raw foods to put, because you want the enzymes from the uncooked foods. I love purple cabbage. It is so delicious. And my son, my 4-year-old, who has become quite picky, also loves purple cabbage. And he does not like it cooked. He only likes it raw. And it's crunchy, and it has this great flavor, and it's wonderful. It's so colorful to sprinkle on top of your food. So I love making sure that there's just some cut up purple cabbage ready to go. I get the Instant Pot out, and I make a whole thing of potatoes or wild rice. Like you said, wild rice is not like any of the other rices. It's a totally different starch. It's non-reactive to the immune system. It's actually the highest one that contains the highest amount of antioxidants. And I was reading an article recently that talked about that women who ate wild rice 1 to 2 times a week have a significantly lower risk of heart disease and cancer. It was something, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like 34%. I mean, it was low enough to be like, yes, I now give myself permission to spend a bit more money, because wild rice is a bit more expensive.
Right.
But it is still less expensive than eating out at a restaurant, and very, very, very healthy. So I love it. I love that. I want to share a sauce, since while we're talking about bowls, I'll share a recipe that was shared with me and it's kind of been passed down from whole food person to whole food person. It's called 3-2-1 sauce, and it's 3 parts balsamic, 2 parts mustard, 1 part maple syrup. But I don't know anyone who likes it that sweet. So although the name is 3-2-1 sauce, it's really more like 3-2.25. You just put a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of maple syrup. It does not need that much. And sometimes with a sweet balsamic, it doesn't need any. But you mix those 3 together in any ratio that makes you happy. But it's supposed to be 3-2-1. But it's, for me, like I said, 3-2.25. Balsamic, mustard, and any kind of mustard you want. Any kind of balsamic you want, and then and of course always organic, and then any kind of maple syrup, hopefully real maple syrup, and mix the 3 together. You can have it in a jar or something, and then you take it to the restaurant with you. If you're going to like, if you want to eat really, really clean, but you want to go out. Thai restaurants, in the back of the menu, there's a section called side dish, and you can order steamed vegetables, and sometimes they have black rice, sometimes they have brown rice, but you can get a whole bunch of steamed vegetables and then pour your 3-2-1 sauce on it. So good. And most restaurants will do just plain steamed vegetables. And I love steamed cabbage. The Thai restaurants will often do steamed cabbage. It's so good. It's so good. I've been filming with one of my friends, Naomi. We both went plant-based for health reasons and have seen great results. But we noticed that I've noticed that a lot of my listeners want to be healthier but don't know how to cook. And so we've been
Right.
filming
Right.
videos on how to cook. And I'm about to launch a membership site that's going to be affordable for everyone, where they learn how to cook. And I'm saying, listen, people don't have to give up their meat. That's
Yes.
their choice. I don't know. I'm not a high pressure vegan salesperson. I'm not trying to convert.
Yeah.
But I went kicking and screaming because I loved meat, and now I can't
Right.
believe how good I feel when I stopped eating it. I stopped eating eggs, stopped eating meat. I already cut out dairy, and I feel like $1,000,000 within days of not eating meat. I could not believe, but there's this part of my brain that was screaming, yelling, going, where's the meat? Where's the meat? So for me, I went cooking, screaming. My husband went vegan overnight, and it was, he's coming up on his 2-year vegan anniversary. And he went from eating basically 100% Atkins all the time to zero meat. He just gave it up cold turkey. And me, I weaned off of it. It took me like 2 years.
Right.
But now I love cooking these foods, and bowls is totally the answer, like you said. And so my thing is, we're making all these videos to show people just how to eat more healthy food, and they can just add it. If they want to still do meat, that's fine. They can just add more healthy food to that.
Right.
Or if they want to try this, they can try it. But I love that it's accessible, and it actually saves time and saves money to eat this way, especially with exactly what you said, which is the food prep.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a dressing on the cleanse it's really called a detox herb vinaigrette, but you can put it on salads and bowls, and it's like, it's a little different than what you were talking about. It's a handful of like parsley and cilantro and basil and garlic and apple cider vinegar, salt and pepper and olive oil. It goes into a Vitamix. It is to die for. It is so delicious. And you just put a little bit of that on the bowl or your salad, or even you could put it on chicken if you want to eat meat, or fish. It's so good. But just, you're right, to have these really good dressings in the fridge to make it all come together.
Yes.
There's also an herb salt that I live and die by. It's sea salt with fresh herbs in it. It's called Herbamare. You can get it on Amazon, Herbamare. That's also a lifesaver. Like you put that on to spice up any kind of bowl, dish. It's fabulous too. So there are some really great things to do out there. I know. And I'm definitely, I'm not total plant-based vegan, but I'm 80%. So I am more of a pescatarian. I do love fish. And I feel like I can't get enough calories and enough from my vegan lifestyle. So I do have to add in some of the animal. But like you're saying, my husband who passed away, he was a big Atkins guy, and he was a sugar-aholic. He had to have sweets after every meal, a little dessert, little sweets. And then in his office was, the crappy candy in the bowls. And
he just ate meat and candy.
Meat, candy, and sugar kept him going. I know. So he was watching his weight with the Atkins whole thing, and he did lose weight and looked great. So no one would have ever known.
Which we now just call it keto, right?
Yes.
We don't call it Atkins anymore. It's basically the same diet with a different name, because people who do keto wrong end up just eating Atkins, because Atkins is mostly protein and keto is mostly fat. But most people actually don't eat keto, and they think they are. They're actually eating Atkins, because very, very few people eat 80% fat. They're just thinking they can eat butter and cheese and meat, and they think they're doing keto, but they're doing Atkins. So, I mean, either one, not healthy long-term, not a healthy long-term diet. You're missing minerals, you're missing nutrients. It's very acidic for the body. We could go on and on.
Right.
But I love that you're listening to your body. And that's another thing I want to emphasize, is that there is no one diet that's right for everyone. There's no diet dogma. You may turn around tomorrow and check in with yourself, and your body might say, I need more fish, or I need no fish. I need eggs. I don't need eggs. I need more broccoli. I don't need any broccoli. Like it is about listening, getting to that point where you can listen to your body and then make some adjustments, and be willing to experiment, be willing to do the eliminations, be willing to go egg free. I discovered eggs were the last thing for me to kick to be 100% plant based. And I started to get heart palpitations, which was so weird, because I'm like, I am so healthy. What's going on? and I even saw a cardiologist, and he's like, your heart is super healthy. And he said something really interesting. He said, the heart is so strong and so sensitive that any stressor in the body, the heart will respond to. Like it could be emotional stress, mental stress, it could be physical stress, but the heart is resetting. So when my heart palpitations were from the heart resetting, and I thought that's really weird. And so then I cut out eggs and my heart palpitations went away. And then I reintroduced them and my heart palpitations came back like while I was eating them. And and so over and over again, I could basically turn on and off my heart palpitations by whether I ate eggs or not. And so I just went no eggs whatsoever, and they haven't returned. Right. And that was, I don't know, almost a year ago. But just the interesting that the body will speak to us. And if we listen to the symptoms and then make adjustments in our diet and be willing to experiment to figure out. And you know what? There was a time when eggs were really healthy for me. There was. My body really responded well to them. And then there was a time that there wasn't. And so there might be a time when cashews really work well for you.
Work fine.
Yeah.
Yes, and then
but
now
we
they
have to be willing to change our belief system about food to shift. Now, what happened in your life that had you go to become a certified nutritionist? Like, when did that happen in your life story?
Well, it was 2 years after my husband passed away. Because I really felt like I had two girls that had two parents who had cancer. So I really needed to do a deep dive into figuring out how to keep myself healthy and them healthy, because I was worried about them. I really thought, they're going to think they're going to get cancer because of us, potentially, and their mindset. And, I needed to be around for them for a long period of time, because at the time, they only had me. So I just went back to school, like learning for that reason, not to become a nutritionist. There was no part of me that was looking at going into a nutrition career. I just wanted to learn as much as I could about, just how to be healthy and strong. And then also emotionally, how to like release these traumas that we had gone through, and to help the girls with all of that. And it was so spectacular that when I graduated, I fell in love with it. I just couldn't get enough of it. Still to this day, I can't get enough of it. Honestly, I go a little overboard of like everything that I read and investigate. But when I graduated, a friend of mine had brought this restaurant from Northern California called Cafe Gratitude, which was a vegan restaurant, down to LA. And she asked me to put a cleanse together for them.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, a cleanse? What the hell is that? But I had a marketing background and an advertising background. And their food was really healthy. So it was really fun and easy. And I did that. I ran that cleanse for Cafe Gratitude for like 3.5 years. A year after she asked me to do it for them, this macrobiotic restaurant in LA called M Cafe asked me to do a reset for them. Similar, their food was cooked and raw. So I did that for about 4.5, 5 years. And then a natural food market here in LA, Erewhon, which is the premier health food store in the country. I absolutely love this place. And it's crazy out of control in terms of its prices and just what's going on in the health world. But it's pretty cool because it has everything, the latest of everything. But they asked me to put a cleanse together for them too. So I did that for a little while. So I got involved in this whole cleansing world. But what it was just really resetting your body and healthy eating for 5 days. So, and then 6 years ago, I designed my own. And so the rest is history. I've been cooking and delivering food to people for 6 years, getting ready next year to probably expand into, being able to service more people. It's all delivered in glass, and it's organic, and it's homemade, and and a lot of love and nurturing goes into the food. And these people just keep coming back for it, and we sell out every time we do it. So that's sort of, that's really my story. I honestly have to like pinch myself at the fact that I'm here and that I'm doing what I love. I know I never thought, when I set out on this course, I never thought I would love it, but also that does help keep you healthy.
It's kind of sad that a cleanse is just eating healthy for 5 days. Really, that it's just like, why can't we eat that way all the time?
I know. I'm trying to get people to like incorporate some of this food into all the time. Because
Yeah.
when you see how you feel after
Mm-hmm.
5 days,
Mm-hmm.
and you're sleeping better, and your stress is better, and your skin is better, and you even lose weight with eating a lot of food. It's a lot of food we give them, because I don't want them to starve or be deprived. And so then they hopefully get the bug, and they go, "Ooh, I want to feel more like this more often." So
100 calories is nothing when you think about, people think like 100 calories is maybe a snack, right? 100 calories is nothing,
right.
but eat 100 calories of broccoli. That's a pound. A pound. That's like 2.5 cups. You eat 2.5 cups of broccoli, you're good. You're good for an hour, and that's only
Yeah.
100 calories. So yeah, you can fill them up. Non-starchy vegetables are 100 calories a pound. Starchy vegetables are 300 to 400 calories a pound. And
Yeah.
calories isn't everything, but it's just like gain perspective. If we're eating, if someone's eating 1,500 calories of fruits, vegetables, and, some kind of healthy starches, that
Yeah.
is a huge portion of food. They're probably eating more fiber in one day than they do in 1 month.
Right.
So they're
Right.
they're going to feel amazing. Fiber binds to the toxins and
Yep.
pulls them out of your gut and helps remove them from the body, and also feeds the microbiome. And so you're really helping them with that reset. But it's
Yeah.
it's kind of like, if we look at it, it's kind of like we're all alcoholics and we just stopped drinking alcohol for 5 days. It's like, here, I'm going
Yeah.
to give you a cleanse. It's called drink
Yeah.
water and
I
nothing
know.
else. Don't drink
Yeah. No
anything except for
alcohol.
water. No alcohol for 5 days. Do you feel amazing? We probably feel bad for the first few days because your body's like, what is happening? And then the fifth
Right.
day, you're like, oh my gosh, I can think again. My liver's
Yeah.
stopped hurting.
Right. Right.
We're
No, I
just,
know.
so, oh, we need to start eating healthy. This is good. This is good timing. I mean, I keep saying we. I mean, I eat
Yeah.
healthy, but it's like I always look and go, why am I letting this in my life? Why am I running to that? And I just become the observer going, that's interesting that I'm making that food choice. And,
Yeah.
where is this really coming from? I think so much of our food choices are this unconscious emotional, whether it's a reward. Oh, I did something. I had a really hard day. I deserve this. Or
Yeah.
I had a really great day. Let's
I
celebrate.
deserve this.
Or
Yeah.
I'm really
Right.
stressed out and I don't want to feel this way anymore. But we
Yeah.
we run to, and we justify, and that little voice in our head justifies because we're addicted to the dopamine response, the pleasure response we get because we're trained from kids to get treats,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
and I always see more infections after Halloween in people. And that's what
Yeah.
happened to me when I was 13. I was really healthy from age 6 to 13 because I saw a naturopath, and when I was 6, and we cut out sugar and cut out a bunch of bad food, and I took supplements. I was really healthy from 6 to 13. And then at 13, I rebelled. I was very upset with my parents. I was 13, basically.
Yes.
I did normal 13-year-old stuff, but I ate an entire bag of, like, my entire Halloween collection of candy, an entire bag of candy in one night. And I
Yeah.
proceeded to that was the first time I ever needed to be on antibiotics. Very shortly after that, I had an infection that was a chronic infection that lasted from Halloween through Christmas. And
Wow.
that was to this day, I think back and I go, how many people eat way more sugar than they used to on Halloween,
Yeah.
and then within a month they're sick. And
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
correlate the two, because sugar, actually, there's something really interesting. I can't remember the exact white blood cell. One of our white blood cells goes dormant when we eat sugar. And
I.
it
I.
also feeds the candida, feeds the
Mhm.
the bad microbiome. So there's so many reasons.
I
And
didn't know that about the white blood cell.
yeah,
That's
a
interesting.
naturopath I work with, he
Hmm.
mentioned, I'll go figure out which one it was. He was saying, but there's one white blood cell that goes dormant when there's
Wow.
too much sugar, and the too much sugar being exactly what we consume when we eat any kind of sugar would be enough.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
when we eat a whole food, if we eat a banana, that doesn't happen.
Right. Right. With its fiber intact, and
Right.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. I sort of thought all the white blood cells go dormant when we eat, sugar. So the crappy sugar.
Right. Yeah, it
But
definitely affects the immune system to the point where people get infections. And I just wonder, we call this time of year flu season. Well,
hmm
think about how much sugar we consume. in the summertime versus right around now, we have
Right. Yeah.
Thanksgiving, we have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. These are 4 times where people on average are drinking more alcohol, eating
Yeah.
more pie, eating more sugar, making excuses or reasons, eggnog. Just think of all the sugar we're eating more so this time of year than we would, in April or any
Yeah.
other time of year. And I just wonder how much of a correlation there is between the types of food we eat this time of year and then people getting sick come January and
Yeah.
February and the flu.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That does. So, and then maybe vitamin D levels going down,
yeah,
because you're not outside as
stress
much.
going
And
up. We're not dealing with our
yeah,
emotions around our
right.
families.
Yes. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Well,
Um, well,
having so much experience helping people for so many years, I'd love for you to teach the listeners something that we can actively do today. Some actionable homework or steps that we could take to begin
okay.
to build a healthy body that prevents cancer.
Yeah, I would love to. So I would say that, the first thing is to really learn how to, just to really tap into managing your stress. So there's some great apps out there that you can listen to every day. Unplug has a great one, Headspace, calm.com, like Headspace and calm.com are the big ones where it can really help, just relax your brain, stop the thinking for a bit, not that you have to go brain dead, but just to calm down the brain. I think, putting one of those apps on your phone, I use calm.com, listening to some of the music or the waves of the water just for 5 minutes is huge for the system.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing. Lowering cortisol levels like that is huge. And then there's a study that has come out that where, even drinking half your body weight in water is not enough. So they're basically saying 90 ounces of water or liquid that doesn't include caffeine.
When you say half your body weight, because we don't want them drinking pounds or kilograms of water, you're referring to for every pound
ounces.
you drink an ounce. So if someone's 200 pounds,
Yeah.
they would drink 100 ounces.
Yes.
Right. Well, because some people might go, I have to drink how many pounds of water?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Ounces. Yeah. And it's really important to, like I said, mandatory get up in the morning and drink 16 ounces is the minimum mandatory amount. That would be life-changing. And if you put a little bit of lemon in there, that, to alkalize the body and to clean out the intestines, that also is pretty amazing. So it's the stress, it's the hydration. For me, what I find is really, really been phenomenal in my life is I've been a juicer ever since I was diagnosed with cancer. I have a Breville Cold Fountain Plus.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I'm so glad you brought that's so funny. I've been doing research to do a whole segment on juicing. That is so funny you brought this up because I own, I think, every juicer on the planet except the cold press, the kind that goes in from the top. Right? I have all the old school cold pressing ones, but I don't have the ones from the top. And I've been watching tons of review videos trying to decipher, is this just a new mousetrap they're trying to sell us, or is it like really better? Is it really better to do the cold press, the slow masticating juicer with the top loading vegetables, or do the old school masticating juicers work just as well?
I think the old school work just as well.
Okay, good, because I own like 7.
No, I don't. Yeah. I juice and drink right away.
Yes.
So I just, it's really easy and they work really fast because those cold press ones don't work very fast unless you're going to get a, high powered one that's like extremely expensive. But I just, those ones that we've had on the market, even when they're hitting a heat source, still I think work just as well. I've seen incredible results from it. So, I do a lot of green juices. I just do simple juices. It's not expensive. I do celery and cucumber and lemon and ginger. And I was doing romaine because of the salmonella. I gotten away from the romaine,
Yeah.
and then someday, parsley, which is a heavy metal detoxifier, and cilantro, and I just throw in these greens that are not expensive. And it's just, it really is a liquid IV of vitamins, minerals into the body. And they go right into the cells.
You know what tastes amazing? Cucumber and lemon. Just juicing cucumber and lemon. Like get 4 to 6 big cucumbers and 1 lemon, and juice the whole lemon. Make sure it's organic. Juice the whole lemon, including the rind, because of those wonderful essential oils that come out. Here's a tip for saving money. Go to your local co-op and ask if they give a case discount. I was just on the phone this morning at PCC, which is the local co-op here. They'll give us a 10% discount if we order a case. And the produce manager, talk to the produce manager, is willing to help me with case size. She's like, I could make a case 10 pounds or 40 pounds. It doesn't have to, she's willing to make it a smaller case, like to make it manageable. Yeah. But 10% off groceries, heck, I'll go for it, especially when and she'll even help me source the freshest. She's like really geeks out on it. So yeah, find a produce manager at a health food store that's willing to work with you, because with case discounts and buying in bulk, you can save so much money. One of the naturopaths I studied with her passion is to help women who are on food stamps, who are in need, in poverty, help them eat healthy. And she shows them that they even how to use their food stamps in a way to buy bulk brown rice, beans, vegetables. She goes, get a kiddie pool, because even if you live in an apartment, get a kiddie pool, fill it with dirt, put it on your balcony, and grow your own kale. Or grow some microgreens. Like, it's just, you can do it on a budget and get those greens into you every day, because her thing is 6 cups of greens no matter what every day. Yeah. However you can get them in you, get them in you. And she talks about, when you're on a budget, here's what you can buy that's not organic, that kind of thing. But that buying in bulk can really save you a lot of money. So sometimes, and I've done this before, where I go with another family or even 2 families, and you can buy in bulk apples right from a farmer, or we find bulk deals. So if we ended up having to buy bulk broccoli or something, 2 other families could split it, right? And just save that helps you save money. There are creative ways. If you're dedicated to your health and it's the number one most important thing, we don't let money stop us. We just get creative and figure out how to do it. It's not that we can't do it. It's just, how can we do it? And building those relationships with produce managers. I have a friend who, I don't know how he does it. He's a raw vegan, and he lives on, romaine lettuce and mangoes and all kinds of raw foods. And he says, and he will often post on Facebook, he gets the most amazing deals, and he becomes friends with all the produce managers. He just talks to them, he's nice to them, and tells them what he does, and they will give him screaming deals on big cases of food. Yeah, so it's just getting creative. But I love that. So, and especially with juicing, because you need a lot of it. I love going to Costco. Our Costco has a lot of organic food. So I get, the carrots by the giant bag of carrots, and sweet potatoes, all organic.
Right, which is beautiful. I mean, I personally am a purist, so I do not juice high fruit, even vegetables. So beets and carrots are a no-go for me, because I think we get enough sugar in our diet, and I don't need to have all this, sugar shooting into my bloodstream.
Right.
So I eat carrots and beets, and I roast them, and I absolutely think they're crucial they're very anti-cancer. But I stick to the greens and lemon ginger, no apple in my juices, unless it's summer and it's super hot outside, and that's a different story. So, because then you burn off the sugar. Definitely a little better when it's hot, like you said, not in the winter, but in the summer and you're out in the heat. But yeah, so juicing has been amazing. And then, for the readers, upping your fiber content. Basically, we were talking earlier about how we just need fiber to flush all these toxins in our system, and we're getting barely 15 grams of fiber, and we need to be getting a minimum of 25, really 35 a day. So So that fiber is crucial.
That's so
It's
funny.
even flax and chia
Right.
seeds, and also all the legumes are high fiber. So there's definitely, we need to be definitely focusing on, and even, I don't know if you know, a cup of raspberries is like 8 grams of fiber.
Yeah,
So
it's so
that's a
great.
lot
If
for
you
a
have
cup
to
of raspberries.
strain at all on the toilet, like if you have to strain at any point, then you're not getting enough fiber. I mean, when you get, oh, I
Right,
know enough water. If you're getting enough water and
right.
fiber, you don't even need to bring your cell phone to go sit in the toilet. Like you're just, you basically sit down, number two happens, and
Yeah,
you're done. It's just so
right.
fast and it's perfectly formed. I have an entire episode on healthy poop. It was so funny to do, but it's the same naturopath that did the Dr. Heidi Samani, the same naturopath that did the episode all on vitamin D. It's how to have the perfect poop, and
Yeah.
really amazing how little fiber we eat and how much fiber our ancestors ate and how much fiber we really should eat. I've tracked it before, and now I eat about 50 grams a day. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Wow. That's
really
fantastic.
amazing. I know, right? But
Yes.
I feel amazing. And on the days that I don't eat enough fiber,
Yeah.
I really feel it the next day. And
Right.
it's just like it takes your health to a whole new level when you get enough fiber.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. And that's really crucial. And we don't think about that. That's kind of a simple thing too, to add and to make, conscious of it in your diet. So,
Hmm.
yeah. And then, I think I am a believer that animal protein, eating too much of it is a precursor for cancer. So I say, cut back on your animal protein, eat edible protein 1 time a day. I try to get my clients to do, not 3 times a day. Incorporating more plant-based proteins into your diet on the other two, if you eat breakfast and lunch and dinner. So, that's really my take. I think that, really watching your sugar, we're only supposed to have 25 added grams of sugar per day. If you do juice a green juice and you put an apple in it, like 16 ounces, that's 18 grams of sugar in that
Wow.
one green juice. And then let's say you have a bar, like an RX bar that has 12 grams of sugar. Your one bar and your one juice, you're already over your sugar allotment.
What if someone were to eat the apple and instead of RX bar,
That's
which is
different.
processed,
Yeah.
what if they ate 3 apples a day? Like, are you saying that when
Yes.
it's in its whole food form, it
Yeah.
isn't considered added sugar?
It's not, yes. Right.
Hmm.
Right.
I'd rather eat the
So,
whole apple.
right. Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's always better to just eat the real food, always.
Hmm.
So than doing anything that's processed. Even I think with the protein powders, I know they're super popular and I do use them in a pinch, but a lot of times I try to go with, maybe a couple tablespoons of hemp seeds and,
Yes.
organic soy milk or some cashews or, or almonds or almond butter, like real foods.
Pumpkin
Not,
seeds are so
and pumpkin
full
seeds.
of protein that you can blend them. You can get pumpkin seed protein, which is, I mean, ground pumpkin seeds, which I'm not sure about because once you grind another seed, you're exposing the fat to oxygen and it becomes rancid. But pumpkin seeds themselves, you could grind them and then add them to a smoothie or just throw them on your food. Just I like to do
Yeah.
that. I just a handful of pumpkin seeds, throw it on the food, but they're very high in protein as well.
Yeah. Very. They're awesome.
I really
Yeah.
believed when I first started this podcast, it'll be 4 years next March that I've been doing this.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. And when I first started this, I mean, if listeners go back and like listen to like episode 1 and like follow my journey, because I've been on a health journey for many years before starting the podcast, but I also believe we're never done. No matter how much we know,
Yeah.
we're never done. I'm sure if we were to check back in with you 10 years from now, you'll be like, oh, I can't believe myself back in my 50s. What was I even thinking? Like, I've learned
Yes.
so much,
Yeah.
right? So I'd
Yep.
love to have you back on the show in 10 years to like hear but basically old me when I first started this podcast, just almost 4 years ago, I really did not believe that I could go a meal without meat at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was just, are
Mm-hmm.
you kidding me? That wasn't even healthy in my mind. That wasn't
Yeah.
even healthy. Like you should eat meat at every meal. And then I interviewed, and this was very early on, like maybe episode 30. It's like very early on in the podcast, Susanna McGee, and I still remember her name. And she's a wonderful woman, has a beautiful accent because she was raised in like four or five different European countries. So you can't quite pinpoint, but she just has the most beautiful melodic accent. And she's a pro athlete, raw vegan in LA, actually near Venice Beach. She is
Okay.
she actually, one of the things she does, she teaches tennis, and she looks 20 years younger than she is. She acts 30 years younger than she is, and she talks about what she eats every day, and she swears that by adding, she takes a handful of pumpkin seeds and throws it on everything she eats. And she
Wow.
swears that is her protein source. She never
Right.
runs out of energy, and she trains
Right.
people in the hot sun day after day, teaching them tennis and plays tennis matches, and just is go, 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 always with lots of energy. And so she swears by the pumpkin seeds, handful on everything. And she always believes in
Right.
one big salad a day, which she's in a warmer climate. So she can do that. I think colder climates, I'd rather do, like you said, souping, do
Yeah.
some soup,
Yeah. Right. Right.
which is just,
Exactly.
a soup is what? Just a hot smoothie, basically.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is a hot smoothie. That's what I say too. Yeah. Any way that you can get a juice, a smoothie, with a greens powder or with greens and a pureed soup, because it bypasses the digestive system and get those nutrients into your cells. Home run. So that's what
love
I would
it.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, so get more fiber, get more water,
Yep.
fill your body up with whole foods. Try to decrease meat to one meal a day, you're saying. And
Yep.
and you are pescatarian. You get your
Yes.
animal protein from fish.
Yep.
And so people can experiment, see how their body
Uh-huh. Yeah,
feels.
they do. Yep.
Right. And then,
Yeah. 'Cause
it's interesting because I just interviewed Scylla Whatcott talking about her. She actually worked on healing her breast cancer, and her naturopath, who's a naturopathic oncologist, did her DNA and said
mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
DNA, and I don't know about these markers, but she said your
Right.
DNA says you need meat. And she had gone basically vegan after she was diagnosed with cancer. And then she added a little bit of meat back, nowhere near as much as the standard American diet, but just a little bit. And it was like whole, free range, all that kind of good stuff,
Right.
organic. The cow was the chicken was very happy and lived a good life and no pesticides and all that, and lived out in a
Right.
field somewhere. And then she started to feel really good after
Mm.
that, after adding that back, which is like interesting to me because some people respond very well to no meat. Some people respond very well
Right.
to a little meat. But we don't know until we try. So
Right.
we have to try. And you're
Right.
saying get to bed
See how it
before
works for
10.
you.
You're saying
Yes.
fall
Well, get to bed
asleep.
by 10.
Fall
Get to
asleep
bed
at
by
10.
10. Well, that's the ultimate. I mean, in the old days when we didn't have electricity and the sun
Right.
went down, we did start to unwind and melatonin kicked in, and we were able to go to sleep earlier. So,
Yeah.
but just try to get into bed. I mean, I got to give my clients a leeway to fall asleep by 11 is just what
But
I say.
optimal. If we were like, let's say we all had a cancer diagnosis and we're like, you know what, we're going to beat this. We need
Yep.
100% change our life. Give me the optimal. There's no room for, I don't know. There's no room for just like being, like, what's the way of saying it where we're just like, oh, I want to treat myself. I'm gonna go have some chocolate ice cream, and
Yeah.
I'll go to the gym tomorrow. Like what is that? Like there's no
Yeah.
room for that. It's just no,
For that.
we're putting our
Yeah.
body first. We don't need that dopamine from the food. We're gonna get it in another way. We'll go
Right.
like hug our family, or go do something fun, but we're not going to poison our body to get some dopamine. So we're
Right.
not basically trading our health for some dopamine high. We're not addicts. We can do this. So if we were
Right.
to optimize our health to completely heal our body, what would you say we should do?
I would say completely optimized. I would say, the sleep is crucial. I mean, sleep is that's when we reset and regenerate. So, we do need to, calm down our central nervous system. So that's absolutely crucial. And then just, focus on fruits and vegetables, because that's where all the nutrients are.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really, really crucial in terms of getting those into our cells, into our mitochondria, Um, I mean, there is a lot to all of this, but I think, and then the stress part,
Yeah.
I was saying, just trying to figure out how best to distress your life.
Yeah. And I might be
As,
looking at getting a counselor and
mm-hmm,
finding one that you really, really work well with. And it's, that there's an old mentality, an old belief system that we go to counseling because we are broken or there's something wrong with us, that we're abnormal.
yeah,
And so people who are walking around with stressful lives go, well, I don't need a counselor. I'm not abnormal. And that's the old way of thinking about counseling, that only abnormal or broken or mentally unhealthy people go to counselors.
yeah,
The new way of thinking, and I think that millennials are really, really adopting this because the
right.
culture is changing, that we go for optimal health. Like, you wouldn't wait to get sick to go to a naturopath. You go to a naturopath and then they help you stay healthy, right? You
Yeah.
don't wait to
Mm-hmm.
completely mentally break down before you see a counselor. Go see a counselor, especially like behavioral therapy, where we're looking at, how can we create healthy boundaries? What kind of actual steps we can take in relationships to support ourselves? And how can we get a new perspective? I have a girlfriend who's very busy. She's owns her own business. She's a personal chef in Seattle. And so she just drives around everywhere cooking for all these wealthy families who have totally different diet plans. She has a young daughter and a boyfriend. And so she's got a busy life. And she said on Facebook once, she goes, everyone asks like how I keep my stuff together. How do I keep it all together? Because I'm always happy and I'm always got like on top of everything. I'm like a great mom, a great girlfriend. I have a great business. How do I do it? She goes, I go to a therapist 3 times a week. And if I didn't
Mm-hmm.
do that, because that's like, I don't unload on my friend, my clients, my boyfriend. I don't unload on people. I go to my
Right.
therapist and I work stuff out. And that is how I stay on top of my health. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh man, I love that. I love that
Right.
we could think about going to a therapist as a way of de-stressing, as a way of helping our physical body by helping our mental emotional body. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, I mean, nowadays there are also great like healers that you can talk to and
Mm.
coaches and things that actually have the ability, some really good ones that can go in and really see
Mm-hmm.
what kind of stressors are causing you issues,
Mm-hmm.
to really kind of tune into you and some of the good ones and say, hey, this is what I'm picking up from you, and then because sometimes we can't tap into our own stuff. And then we can start,
Yeah.
thinking about, wow, that really does make sense. That has been on my mind and that is bothering me. And so
Yeah.
maybe, going from there to figure out how to release it from our body.
Yeah. It's great to get a perspective on the blind spots.
Yeah.
We all have them. Well, no one's
Yeah.
perfect, but
Yep.
it's those who are in action that are
Right.
going to get the traction they need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have so many resources available. People can work with you one-on-one. You have a
Yes.
book. You have a cancer
Yes.
hacks book. You
Yep.
have the soup cleanse, the 7-day reset.
Yeah.
Tell us about all. And then you're working on an autoimmune book. When's that coming
Right.
out?
So probably next year.
Nice.
I have an autoimmune hacks PDF on the website. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get the download for free. And I'm actually trying to figure out how to put it up on the website so you can get it for free anyway. If you're already someone who's gets my newsletter weekly, but I do weekly put out a nutrition tip and a recipe that I test. We test a lot of recipes, and I'm always like trying to give out nutrition information,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm on social media and all of that. So, and the autoimmune thing has been really fascinating to me as well, like the cancer was and still is, because the idea that I was able to overcome the cancer and then overcome the autoimmune just feels so empowering to me. And I just want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to help people and tell people, how, and believe in themselves that they can do it. And
Yes.
it's just the best feeling ever to be able to do that in my life. So I'm one lucky lady.
I love it. Well, you're gonna have to come back on the show
Thank you, Ashley.
when you release your book. You're
Yeah,
gonna have to come back
yeah,
on and just dive totally into the Autoimmune Nutrition Protocol, which is your book that's coming out. Did you pick a name for it yet?
It might be called Autoimmune Hacks, just like the
Okay.
cancer hacks.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be more about my story and how I healed through the whole process.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just going to be more personal. But
Awesome.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been fun talking to you.
Absolutely.
You're a wealth of information.
Oh, well, this was great. Tell the listeners more about how they can work with you. So your website is yourname.com. It's so easy. Yeah. Elissa Goodman. Of course, the links to everything Elissa does is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast at learntruehealth.com. Tell us about what is it like to work with you, like virtually?
Virtually? I mean, I love the virtual. It's shocking. You know, you used to think I would love the in-person, but I've been doing a lot of Zoom calls, and I'm probably going to go more just to Zoom because it feels like you're right there with the person. You know, you're sort of like right face to face with them. And it's so fun because I really get to see their personality and also learn a lot about what I was saying earlier about, you know, how they came into the world and what was the birth like, and their mom breastfed them, and do they have any, you know, traumas in their life, and, you know, what kind of like health issues did they have and how they eat. And, you know, I really do a deep dive into getting behind the psyche, the emotional components, what might be happening physiologically in the body. And, you know, just like really finding out also what drives them, you know, what wakes them up in the morning, and what's their passion and their purpose. And all of that is what is going to tell me why they're where they're at. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is, by the end of the session, they're telling me why they're where they're at.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's so cool because it's like, oh my God, you know, like, wow, I already knew why I have digestive issues or sleep issues, right? Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. At the beginning, they're like, I don't know why I've got that. I don't know why this is going on. And then when we talk, and then it's like, I'm like, you just answered the reason why you have digestive issues. Did you just hear yourself? Like, you honestly came to that answer and that conclusion on your own because your instincts were right on. And they were probably right on before the phone call, but you didn't just trust them. But that's the cool thing. This job doesn't feel hard to me because of that. Because just being able to, you know, tune somebody back into themselves, is like watching those light bulbs go off for them, and then having them institute a few things that they make changes on, and then like life starts to unfold in so many beautiful ways. You're like, wow, like that is the ultimate.
That's so awesome. I love that you said tune them back into themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing when we get to see a health coach, and it just, they become that reflection, that also the open listening to allow us to empty out, and then allow us to kind of sort out that chaos that's been in our lives and been in our head, and then start to see our lives clearly. And so you are helping them sort that out just by being there and listening and asking the right questions, and definitely being the one asking the right questions, and then tuning them back into themselves. So it's beautiful. I love that you put it that way. Awesome. Well, links, if listeners want to connect with you, get your free PDF, make sure that they're following you for your autoimmune book. All those links are going to be in the show notes of today's podcast at learntruehealth.com. Elissa, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here, and also for scheduling exactly when you need to schedule. Perfect timing. I think it's wonderful. And I'd love to have you back, especially for the launch of your next book. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And I can't wait for it to come out.
Me too. Hello, true health seeker. Have you ever thought about becoming a health coach? Do you love learning about nutrition and how we can shift our lifestyle and our diet so that we can gain optimal health and happiness and longevity? Do you love helping your friends and family to solve their health problems and to figure out what they can do to eat healthier? Are you interested in becoming someone who can grow their own business, support people in their success? Do you love helping people? You might be the perfect candidate to become a health coach. I highly recommend checking out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I just spent the last year in their health coaching certification program, and it really blew me away. It was so amazing. I learned over 100 dietary theories. I learned all about nutrition, but from a standpoint of how we can help people to shift their life and shift their lifestyle to gain true holistic health. I definitely recommend you check them out. You can Google Institute for Integrative Nutrition or IIN and give them a call, or you can go to learntruehealth.com/coach and you can receive a free module of their training to check it out and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. Be sure to mention my name, Ashley James, and the Learn True Health podcast, because I made a deal with them that they will give you the best price possible. I highly recommend checking it out. It really changed my life to be in their program, and I'm such a big advocate that I wanted to spread this information. We need more health coaches. In fact, health coaching is the largest growing career right now in the health field. So many health coaches are getting in and helping people because you can work in chiropractic offices, doctors' offices, you can work in hospitals, you can work online through Skype and help people around the world. You can become an author, you can go into the school system and help your local schools shift their programs to help children be healthier. You can go into senior centers and help them to shift their diet and lifestyle to best support them in their success and their health goals. There's so many different available options for you when you become a certified health coach. So check out IIN, check out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, mention my name, get the best deal. Give them a call and they'll give you lots of free information and help you to see if this is the right move for you. Classes are starting soon. The next round of classes are starting at the end of the month. So you're going to want to call them now and check it out. And if you know anyone in your life who would be an amazing coach, please tell them about it. Being a health coach is so rewarding and you get to help so many people. Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? For high quality supplements and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com and one of our fantastic True Health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program.